Souls 2 for the first time.
Yeah.
They looked into one of the tutorials and they saw the basics. They're like, no, this is too early. You can't do this to me.
Yeah. 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 Tired, boys.
Real.
I'm fucking real fucking tired. So, I checked my email today.
Oh? Please tell us. What fabulous things did you discover?
Nothing. I discovered nothing. And then I got another email today that said, hey, a appointment has been added to your calendar. I was like, oh? What kind of appointment is this? And I look at the email, and it says, on-call meetup. I'm like, oh no. I'm on call this weekend. And I didn't know until 2 o'clock.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like I've been on the queue for being on call for like 6 weeks now, but I didn't check the on-call roster sheet because 7 weeks ago I already did on-call, and you only do on-call once a year, right? And turns out that they just changed how on-call works the week after I finished. And with that, they also reset the roster of everyone who's done on-call.
Oh, so what's the new rule?
Instead of 2 people doing the on-call job, it's just 1.
That sounds like a great way to
1 per
cause
position.
backups at a critical time.
Nah, it's all good. There's only like an 8-hour period of coverage I actually have to do. Everything else covered by actual shift. Oh, we got an actual person that says hello.
What?
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a friend of mine.
Oh, Arn is actually contributing to this stream.
He is unfortunately Danish, but
Oh,
we
wow.
won't hold that again. Listen. We don't hold being Brazilian against the Brazilians. So
True. That's fair.
I mean, look, if we're talking on the scale of international debuffs, surely Danish is less punishing than Brazilian.
Oh yeah, for sure. Norwegian, shut up.
Norwegian, that's pretty good.
Don't teach them that.
That's
God
pretty
damn it.
good.
I'm never gonna live that one down. Fuck.
I mean, that's what friends are for.
True.
Well, I mean, the Danish are known for their amazing glizzies, and I guess, the Norwegians are known for taking them.
Shut up.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it finally says that Sneaky went live. It did not. I was about to be like, uh-oh, Sneaky's been shadow banned because he's not showing up live for me.
The Danish are worse than the Portuguese? It's quite possible.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Yeah, he's right.
Look, the
hear
Three
about the
Brothers
Danish
Alliance need to happen again, I'm just saying.
I mean, you're not wrong. But listen,
No,
here's the
God,
problem.
we're
Right?
not
You
including
hear
this
about the
speech again.
Danish
Fuck off.
doing stuff occasionally. Here's the thing. I never hear about Portugal, although that may be because Spain is too busy
That's
repressing
because
them.
Portugal is too irrelevant to literally everything in the modern day.
Oh yeah, no. Nobody gives a shit about Portugal.
I mean, to be fair, Spain does whenever Portugal wants to tell Spain to go fuck themselves.
What's wrong with the Three Brothers Alliance?
Swedes.
Okay. You're not wrong. However, counterpoint. In the event of a Three Brothers Alliance, are the Swedish really going to be in a position of exporting homosexuality?
That's a
I am
Very
legally not
specific
allowed to
statement.
say the words I want to
That's fair.
right now.
Well, I'm pretty sure you could get away with saying it in Norwegian.
Yeah, all I will say is, that they have the wrong demographics.
I mean, yeah, you know what? That's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I dislike the Portuguese, Danish is more of a fucking nightmare. Well, I mean, look, so Portuguese is just so one king had a stroke at one point, and instead of saying, "Oh, well, the king has a stroke," they just made it the new language.
True.
And so that's why you have Portuguese. And then Brazilian Portuguese is what happens when you send a bunch of country bumpkins out searching for riches, and they decide that actually fucking the local wildlife is way cooler.
True.
I mean, you're not wrong, although linguistic drift is, a normal thing. It can happen for the stupidest reason. Don't forget the reason the US removed all the U's from things like color and uranium and aluminum, Sneaky.
No, we didn't remove the U.
We stopped pronouncing it.
No. Britain added the U because they wanted to sound more French.
That's okay. That's different from what I heard, which was that a guy who ran the printing press was like, "We don't actually need to include these letters. So if we take them out, it will sound exactly the same, but I'll have printed less letters. Therefore, I will have saved money."
I mean, again, that's entirely possible. 2 entire letters have been dropped from the Indonesian alphabet because the guy who translated the typewriter to Indonesian couldn't fit them onto the typewriter, so people just stopped using them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like that's what I heard about the reason for the massive pronunciation differences from things like color and however the fuck the British say it. That's wrong.
Well,
Color.
calor. I don't know.
Lord.
Sounds like they're trying to talk about my caloric intake, baby.
I think it's more
Yeah,
along the
watch it.
lines of that they changed the words, and the reason why we didn't adopt their change was because of letter count.
That's possible as well. And of course, then there's the final possibility of it, which is that after a while, we just kept saying it different.
More that is a significant possibility. I mean, that is how you basically get Danish. You know, the Swedes and the Norwegians kind of just dumped all of their deformed babies in one area, and then
Yeah, it's more than like the deranged mix between the Norwegian and German.
Denmark's too close to Germany, and I will give you that. I mean, you look what happened to the Dutch. Hitler is dude. What no?
Yeah, I mean, here's my one concern with linguistic drift, though. Like, you can look at Australia, and of course, while phrases have changed significantly,
Yeah.
spellings haven't.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, the important part there and why linguistic drift happened way in the earlier times and not so much now, disregarding certain sections of population, of course.
Yes.
Is that the people now actually we kind of have a universalized writing system at this point, I guess you could call it. There's no technologies coming out now that would cause us to not put certain letters into words. There's no peasants writing down what they heard because they were taught writing by the town mayor because they needed an assistant, and so the peasant shorthanding stuff because they're not good at certain letters, causing how people pronounce certain words to change. Or the peasant not understanding how to spell a word, wrote it phonetically instead. Stuff like that. That is what caused drift early on, and now we kind of have a universalized, mass deployed literary system that is literally nearly set in stone. And the only drift that really comes from it now is from intentional misspellings done by certain sections of the population.
Sure. Counterpoint, Australia was made into the literal prison dumping ground way before that was a thing.
Yes, you aren't wrong. However, in isolation, I would say a fair amount of the linguistic drift settled more on phrasing, references, and the meaning of words and interactions rather than the spellings of the words. Because you got to keep in mind, the point in time when they started dumping people in Australia was actually like relatively into the educated period.
I mean, not much more than when U.S. settlers first started showing up.
Right, exactly, and you'll notice that English drifted very little from British English.
I see what you're saying. Yes. Until there was a relevant technology to disrupt it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I still find it wild that in the 1780s, S's in the middle of words was actually written as F's in English, but the S's at the end. For example, circumstances was written as circumstances. Well, that's another thing, right? Where people looked at that and said, "How do I pronounce that?" And just said, or alternatively, because of how they wrote the F, people looked at it and said, "Oh, circumstances."
Yeah, that's also a possibility. Language is weird because it's all fucking made up bullshit in the most literal sense.
I mean, hey, look at fucking Shakespeare, right? He made up a bunch of words, like elbow.
Yeah. Shakespeare was just like, I need a word for this. The weird piece of skin between the weird bit of your arm between, the arm and the lower arm.
Yeah.
What's that? It's called fucking elbow.
The bendy part.
The bendy boy.
Yeah, like.
But so yeah, I mean, linguistic drift is not going to be too common nowadays. You'll see more linguistic drift the more education drops.
Yeah.
And I mean this in the most least racist way possible. But for example, sub-Saharan African language, there is a air quotes universal sub-Saharan African language, and by air quotes I mean it's not universal, but it sort of is universal, because effectively there's only about 50 words in it. And the reason why there's only about 50 words in it is because there's no written form of it, because none of them can write.
I assumed it was just like Trader Argot.
No, it's more this is the sound I make for bees. This is the sound I make for predator. This is the sound I make for rain. This is the sound I make for I'm hurt.
Gotcha.
And so that's why it's air quotes universal. Some of the sounds will change over time. Some of the relevancy, like if a certain species of insect goes away for like a couple of years, that word stops being used or it gets used in a new context, and now it means a new thing for that local area.
Right.
Yeah, the language is small enough that literally everyone in the village knows the entire language. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. That's not a result of decreased education. That's a result of a lack of education in the first place.
Right, but my point is more along the lines of because they don't have the capacity to immortalize what each word means in like a dictionary.
Yes.
They don't have the ability to make a definition of a word permanent or how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
And yet some of the languages don't have words for abstract concepts and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's why English ended up becoming a traitor language, is because the English spread it everywhere.
Not even just English, but like in Africa, in like southeastern Africa, you have the Swahili traders,
right?
And they used Arabic because, well, a lot of them were Muslim, but also just because it's an actual language you can speak.
I'll do you one better. There's a reason lingua franca is a term.
Yes, that's
French. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not like.
Yeah, that's the post I was referencing. Yeah.
Yep.
But
the funny.
Yeah, the reason why English borrowed a lot of words from a lot of languages, and it was spread very far by the British, but why it became the lingua franca as well is because it made for a very good trader's language.
Well, yeah, but let's be clear, the reason it made for a good trade language was because the British put it everywhere, much like the French. So because you were statistically the guy coming from China, which had trade interactions largely with England, could speak English.
Right, but
he could trade with someone on the coast of Africa by speaking English.
Right, but my point is more along the lines of, even if you're mispronouncing the words, if you get it phonetically close enough in English, people will generally understand what you mean. Like if you go "he has a boom," well, I mean he has a bomb. It sounds like.
Well, sure, but that, how do I put this? That only makes sense to you because you know English, right?
Right, but that's my point. If someone from China knows English and someone from Africa knows English, and they can both mispronounce words at each other, but the general gist of the understanding is there.
But that applies no matter the language, is my point. Again,
no, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Russian, whatever the fuck's going on in the Balkans.
But the only reasons "e as a bomb" makes any sense to you phonetically is because you know English. That's the problem.
No, that's my point.
My point is that you're fundamentally attributing something to English that is true of all languages.
No,
right?
And my point. My point is Asiatic languages are very tonal. If you mispronounce something, you go from saying "he has a bomb" to "I want to show you my dick."
That's mostly true for Chinese. Not really in Japanese.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Okay,
you have a lot of homophones in Japanese. But
yes, there is an excessive number of homophones in Japanese. Yeah.
But the only major tonal language is
I'll
Chinese.
give you writing for all of them.
And now the writing on them is absolute dog shit as well. So, you got fucking 700 something characters to learn in Chinese.
Over 1,000 in Japanese.
700, my brother.
And changing this right, and I want to be clear. I fully agree with you on the writing systems, because oops, you changed the slant of this. You tilted the diagonal 45 degrees down instead of 38 degrees. You're propositioning his wife instead of telling him his wife is pretty.
Right. No, I know. That's right. Flat language. Yeah, sure. But that's my point, though, is that English it doesn't have special accents on letters. It doesn't have, and it used to. It got rid of those intentionally. It doesn't have double vowels. It doesn't have letters in the majority that can be accidentally misconstrued as other letters. They're fairly distinct shapes in majority.
Yeah. The only thing English has that is absolutely infuriating is, well, things like silent S's or soft C's.
Right, but then again, but that's my point. That's where my point comes in, though, is that even if you pronounce the word incorrectly to someone who knows English, you are still getting the message across.
All right.
But anyway, why is Nose fucking DMing me?
Who cares? I you know what I look forward to? I look forward to seeing what happens when mankind has made it into the stars. Some kind of collapse happens, and then I want to see what languages come out after 200 years of separation from every other human.
We've got no separation right now between the internet age and the pre-internet age, and people are coming up with random fucking words. One day we all agreed what yeet meant, and that became a word. Imagine what it will be like 10 years from now. I couldn't even imagine what 200 years of separation from space would be.
We don't
But that's
even
what I'm saying.
we don't
That
even
sounds
need
incredibly exciting.
we don't even need 200 years of separation. All we need is for a colony on Mars to start, and is simply there being a month of delay between communications.
Look, we already have an example of this. There is a distinct Antarctic accent, which is only aroused between the scientists in Antarctica. It's a real thing.
Probably because of the meshing of all the accents in English.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's an actual thing.
Oh no, I believe it. Yeah, no. Because you do change your speech patterns slightly to match the people around you. So if you have a scientist from Brazil, a scientist from America, a scientist from France, and a scientist from Russia all in one little facility, and that's all they interact with for extended periods of time, they're going to start borrowing how to pronounce different words from each other.
Yep.
A really noticeable example of this will be people from the northern parts of America going down to the southern parts of America.
Learn how to say y'all and ain't, motherfucker.
Yes.
That
happens very quickly.
But anyway, like I said, Mars is effectively going to become Australia too. In that it's going to have a universal lingua franca, most likely, or a majority lingua franca of probably English. And the delay in communication is going to be just long enough that the drift that will occur on Mars will take a massively divergent tone versus Earth, because shit on Mars is going to be far different than shit on Earth in terms of events, in terms of what kids would be doing when they go out, if they go outside at all, if they can even go outside, that sort of shit.
Well, I was going to say, they could have an outside that's still technically, by the literal definition, inside.
Yeah, and they would probably come up with words for going to the atrium. They would probably come up with a word for running outside during a dust storm.
And dying horribly.
Yeah, the whole bunch of different possible words and reasons for why you would have to make them, or why you would have to take an already existing word and kind of mashing it into place.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's like Inuit, right? The language that the peoples native to Alaska speak. It has what it's like. I think it's like
words for snow.
Yeah, I was like, it's like
That
13 or
one?
20 words for snow. I wasn't sure. I didn't
Oh,
want to
yeah,
get it
it's
wrong.
20 something, I think.
They have a large number of words for snow because A, that's
Oh.
mostly what there is up there,
No,
and B,
I can pronounce that, I think.
right, and the difference of snow can make right. That's the soft snow. That's the snow the dog can pull the sled on. That's the snow that will kill you if you fall in it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that little video. That was basically, yeah. But you know, exactly, and it'll be interesting the second we get people in extended periods of time in not even isolation, but just a delayed contact.
Yep.
There's a that's a can of fucking worms I am not even gonna try and poke on stream. But anyway, let's get into the fan fiction, gentlemen. So how do you feel about Ruby?
Positively racist.
Feel that she's a good child being given terrible direction by a number of highly irresponsible adults, namely the ones that gave a child a scythe.
You're not wrong.
Actually, you know what? The scythe wouldn't be so bad. It's the fact that it's a scythe and a 50.
No, it's not even.
Just stand to 50.
No, it's not even that. I mean, the 50 is great. I fucking love it. A 50 being used against the Grim makes a shit ton of sense. If you want to fucking...
No. 50 being used against the Grim makes sense.
Yeah.
The undersized 14-year-old having the 50 does not.
Yeah.
Aura makes up for that one. Two, it's not just the 50, it's also got like
See, I really hate
38 in there.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
but
it's a battle rifle and a sniper rifle and a scythe.
I know it's
fucking Monty.
Anyway, I really hate the excuse of Aura covers it up because it's not like what's a good replacement example?
Aura's hard because it does so damn much.
No, what's a good replacement example? Say, fucking hell, I'm trying to think of a general Super Saiyan shit, right? Okay, yeah, there we go. That's actually a good one. Super Saiyan shit, right? So you generally increase your power level. You just generally get stronger, period, right? And then your power-ups make you even stronger, but there is a base level of strength that is constantly increasing when it comes to the Saiyans and etc., right?
Right.
Did they give a reason for why they aren't just constantly running around Super Saiyan?
Conservation of ninjutsu.
Well, A, conservation of ninjutsu, but also B, I believe it said somewhere that Super Saiyans... Saiyans, the more in danger they become, the stronger they can grow, and so by intentionally gimping themselves, they are effectively giving themselves opportunities to grow stronger.
All right, all there in the Saiyan handbook. Yeah, if you take a beating, you get stronger for it.
Oh yeah, DM. I want DM. If I kill these goblins only by kicking them and tie my hands behind my back, can I get twice the XP?
I mean...
Yes, if you're Saiyan.
Yeah, effectively.
DM, I want to beat these goblins to death with just a rock I found on the ground. How much extra XP will you give me?
But, point being is that there is a base level of strength that is ever increasing when it comes to Saiyans, right? Aura is a resource that regenerates, but it is a resource. One you are constantly expending when you get hit, when you jump, when you run, when you swing your weapon. And if you are swinging a weapon that weighs as much as you, because we did the fucking math on that, then you gotta have to expend more aura per swing than using a weapon way fucking smaller.
But using the bigger weapon means she can also do wonky shit like, I don't know, blasting herself around the battlefield.
Except literally not, because her weapon's so heavy, the recoil on it wouldn't send her flying.
And yeah, the weight should counteract the recoil, but it doesn't because I don't know, aura.
No, admittedly, no. Actually, they did actually show why at one
When?
point in time, and then they immediately never did it again.
Didn't they retcon it?
Yes.
This is one of the things that drives me absolutely fucking bonkers about.
So
Like-
in the red trailer, they showed Ruby loading specially marked rounds into her gun to do the gun fu, and I'm guessing they were effectively overpacked blanks.
No, I
Could have been
recall
gra-
they had.
As stupid as it is, could have been gravity dust.
Yes.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying though. Is she explicitly did not use them as bullets. She didn't.
Yeah, I
she
see.
didn't.
I see.
She didn't aim at the Grim with them and fire them. She used them
Aimed it at the ground and
explicitly
bounced herself.
for gun fu. And so it might have been gravity dust, but the point is they were effectively packed blanks.
It was a special propulsion round.
Yes. And
Which
so
completely did away with.
which they completely did away with and never used again, and just had her use whatever round she felt like to propulse her across the map, and then she also would just start firing on Grim with those same rounds. I
Even worse
thought it was
is
very
Yang.
cool that they had a propulsion round specifically for propulsion, because that would turn it from, okay, I have to load my gun with normal rounds because they're far away, versus they're getting close, I'm not going to be able to aim with my sniper anymore in this close combat, so I'm going to load my gun with propulsion rounds and start swinging the scythe. That's cool. That's a decision. That's a character expression that shows Ruby is a smart individual who is taking account for her weapon's disadvantages.
And not just that, right? You could have very interesting, different versions of that dependent on the people, right? Obviously, Weiss doesn't need that. She has a glyph.
Right,
Obviously,
I mean, she just
Blake
fucking
doesn't
summoned
need
shit.
that. She's elected to have a
Abomination.
yes, an abomination,
Pistol.
but grappling. Look, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to call it a grappling hook.
It effectively is a grappling hook, and yeah, or a run through the cloth suddenly makes the cloth not break.
Yeah, look, we're not
and
touching that part,
becomes-
okay?
yeah,
Right, but Yang needs a completely different kind of propulsion round because she's using shotguns, so she can do different kinds of propulsion rounds.
Can I just
but
say,
not necessarily.
I hate how she reloads.
Yes.
Look, I hate it too.
But
Look, I hate it too. That's a different problem.
what the fuck's
You know
going
what?
on?
I want to actually take a moment to compare and contrast something in Ruby, and believe it or not, we're gonna go with Armored Core. Okay?
Sure.
I think a fundamental problem with some writers today is they don't recognize when you can leave a mysterious concept
Like Coral?
that's part of your, like Coral, or Coral's not even what I'm going to talk about actually. Although Coral's an excellent example. Augmented humans.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
Never now. There is some backstory that if you've played other Armored Core games, you might know. But Armored Core 6 is the first Armored Core game in what, 20 years?
Something like that.
Right? There's very few people that will have played previous Armored Core games and have that knowledge. Augmented humans never gets explained. Never. It is barely touched upon. Granted, in a very Soulsian fashion, right? They mention, right, you're a Gen 4. You meet someone who's a Gen 1. You meet people who are Generation 8s.
Right.
How quickly did this advance? What's the benefit of a Gen 4 versus a Gen 8? Is there some kind of speciesism, I guess I want to say, between other gens, which you do find you get all the way to New Game Plus 3 to find that out, but you do eventually encounter it when someone's like, you're just a Gen 4, you should be in a museum, not piloting an Armored Core.
And then Walter turns around and says, Gen 4 is as good a pedigree as any other.
No, that's actually a completely different set of interactions.
A different set of
but yes.
interactions, but it's about the same thing.
Yes, right. Right, there's a point where Walter says Gen 4 is as good a pedigree as any other. Right, but it's never explained.
I mean, it sounds more like the Mass Effect level where you have the Gen 2 biotic humans and all the way up to like the Gen 6 biotic humans, and in reality the Gen 2s aren't actually behind the curve of the Gen 3, 4s, 5s, or etc. It's just they have more drawbacks and, you know, things they have to work around. Versus
in some cases, I think there was something about like Gen 2s having a harder time learning than Gen 3s and Gen 4, right? But it's even less explained than that, right? And my point to all of this is, even though both Coral, thank you for the example, Sneaky, and augmented human generations are integral parts of the story, they're integral in such a fashion that they can be left unexplained, because enough of it is explained in the basics of the story. What is an augmented human? Well, the name says part of it. It's a human who has in some manner been augmented.
I mean,
they pilot armored cores.
I'm just gonna say
I don't
here,
need more. Go for it.
I understand why Ruby put a health bar on people. I get it. The dramatic tension moment of, oh my god, they're low aura. What are they gonna do now? I understand that idea. In a show, in a book, it's a dog shit idea.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I was going to get to, is that the problem is that with aura, they started trying to explain it, right? What's one of the biggest complaints?
No, that's not the problem with aura. The problem with aura is that they tried to quantify it. Just like Star Wars and the Force. Oh, you got 3,000 midichlorians.
Midichlorians was exactly what I was going to jump to. Quantifying, you're correct. Quantifying is the problem.
And if they just said, oh, you know, aura lets you jump higher and swing harder, and yeah, you use it while you're doing these attacks to, you know, because you're empowering them. But you know, it's as strong as your soul or your will or some shit, right? And so then you still get to keep the dramatic moments where the hero's defeated because they get hit really hard and they're down because their aura broke, because, you know, so they're fighting spirit. Literally, Gurren Lagann. I mean, if Monty wanted to take examples from anime, Gurren fucking Lagann would have been a great one of, oh yeah, their aura broke because their fighting spirit broke.
Yeah. Right? Simone sitting in the cockpit, feeling defeated, watching his spiral energy go down, and watching the spiral energy go down because the spiral energy is going down, versus Kamina sitting in the cockpit shouting at him not to give up, him, you know, mentally getting his act together. Spiral energy go up.
Right.
Spiral energy breaks spiral. Spiral energy throw galaxy.
Exactly, and that would have been a perfectly reasonable explanation. Oh, we can't really quantify it, so just fight till your aura breaks for this combat class, guys. You know, because the nature of the soul is so complex, it's, you know, we can't really measure it. Okay.
Right. Here's the thing: they could have even had right. They could have put a health bar up there and been like, we can't measure aura exactly.
I would have said, instead of a health bar, you could add special effects to the character. Like, you know, Ruby's aura's red, and when she's really wounded, it starts like fucking, I don't know, little electricity starts coming off her or some shit, or petals
see, what I was about to say was, instead of a health bar, just be like, this is the amount of we're measuring the amount of damage that a normal person would have suffered.
No, that's still trying to quantify it in a really weird way that just adds really complex mechanisms to the show that you don't really
need. Sure,
need.
But if they'd made it clear that that was like a combat class only thing, like, we have to have some way.
No.
For safety purposes, we need some way to determine who's going to win, because if, right...
No, that's what I'm saying, though, is I mean, if you make it the system in a way so that it's just like, okay, it's clear their aura's about to break because, you know, it starts like sparking up, or it shatters in a very visible manner, then you don't have to add safety systems or measurement systems in. It's just, okay, their aura broke, they're done for combat. And if you make it a very obvious way, you can still retain the dramatics of it all. And making someone pass out because they're cis, you call Atin nose?
What?
Brazilian being Brazilian.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
because
and
it's a
there's even
show.
fun.
Use
There's even
visual
fun stuff you
modifiers.
could do with. There's even fun stuff you could do with that if there's a known visual indicator for it breaking.
Right,
Because
exactly.
how much more terrifying, right? You could have made what's her face? Emerald? Yeah. You could have made Emerald a much more interesting character without just giving her fucking massive wide area mind control as the lamest cop out ever.
That was so lame, yeah.
First of all, like it, that that's one of those things where you think not explaining things is helpful. It's not.
Not explaining things.
A massive level of wide area mind control that is as targeted or untargeted as Emerald wants it to be, with no explanation of how it gets applied, how it works. It's just such a cheap cop out, right? Because Yang thought that she was just hitting Mercury, but somehow she broke his leg.
Yeah,
and everyone else sees her breaking the leg.
Somehow Yang was manipulated to target his leg, even though his leg was in a completely different location than what she was seeing in the illusion. And so actually, when she went to swing for the leg in the illusion, she really actually swung for his real leg. It's like,
on the
what?
ground and broke it.
Yeah.
And it somehow looked like she was doing it execution style, for want of a better term.
With AI improving, I wonder how worthwhile it is for authors to put more visual stuff in their text. I would say it's a 50-50. I would say it draws too close.
Actually making the AI work.
Well, I mean, yes, there's that, but that's an inevitability. It draws too close to undermining the writing. I certainly won't disagree that, like, between chapters, if you want to be like, here's a picture of, Lordendale, the town they just went to. It's like, all right, yeah, sure. But
these are character profile pictures.
But yeah, this is what the character looks like.
I think
that's fine.
that some of the best light novels out there do a really good job of balancing images in text as an additive to the narrative without detracting from
right,
it, right?
But my point is more that you really have to sort of gatekeep that to a certain extent, because what you don't want is, you don't want to be reading an online story, right? You're reading the online story, a new character gets introduced, and his name's I don't know, Samson, right? And so you're reading, it's like, oh, and then the new guy walked onto the fucking stadium floor or whatever, and his name was Samson, and his Samson is hyperlinked, and you have to click on that so you can get a picture of what Samson looks like, and then the story just continues on.
They don't explain what Samson looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
I mean, I know a couple of QQ authors who do that, who are like, this is the OC I just made. Oh, and then they'll hyperlink the person's name.
The OC looks like Soul Bad Guy.
Right,
I'm not
exactly.
going to describe Soul Bad Guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what they do. They hyperlink the fucking name, and it just takes you to a picture of whatever character they want that person to look like, and it just massively undermines the narrative.
Put the picture in spoilers and then describe the character, and it's understood that this picture may not be 100% accurate, but it's close.
Well, no. I mean, you don't even need to do that. I mean, with AI generation, you can absolutely get it to become accurate. My point is more the line between chapter art and replacing description with pictures.
Oh yeah, no, you need to add the descriptors.
Of course. Well, one thing that honestly I think using AI to get it perfectly is actually gonna exacerbate the problem, Sneaky, right? Because, like, in D&D,
Unless
right?
it's already crossover with specific fandoms, using random names just ruins it. Yeah, true.
Yeah, using random names just ruins it, right? But let's take D&D for example, right? Sneaky and I, well, like most people in the chat, we've been playing D&D for a very long time, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever did this, but I know that like when I was at live play D&D games back when that was the option that we had, if I was like my character is it, right, I would go online and I would find cool artwork that people had drawn online.
Sure.
Sometimes it was fan art, sometimes it was just art that someone had drawn, right? And I might see something and be like, "Oh, cool! I bet I can make a really cool character off of that." And I would take it and right, I would go to people and be like, "This is what character Y sort of looks like." Right? And use that picture as a basis and then insert the descriptor, insert necessary descriptors. Oh, but they have brown hair instead of blonde, and maybe they're a little bit beefier, or they don't have a beard, or
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
So you have the basic image that people can get an idea of what it looks like, and then use that to help you get descriptors.
No, I understand, but again, I feel like that's a little bit different from publishing a story. And now, keep in mind, we're not talking about fan fiction here. We're talking about a legit OG story where someone just decides to put random art into the middle of their narrative. I feel like it would break the pacing. I feel random art would break the pace, and that's why I'm specifying over and over again between chapter art, because that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
End of a chapter is supposed to be an end of a chapter, and you're not breaking the pacing by putting a picture in between chapter 2 and chapter 3.
Right.
Oh, light novels tend to do it in the middle, and it doesn't always break the pacing, especially when they're doing it right. Like again, with character introductions, they describe the character and then they give you a picture of that character or a scene, and then give you a picture of the scene. It works.
I
It
would
would
just say
be better at the
yeah,
end.
I don't mind it, especially when
Yeah. Okay.
because like I'm just trying to think of like what a good one right, like Overlord has those very distinct stylized colored full
That's
color
fair, yeah.
images. Those absolutely do not detract.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Light
you
novels
get your
usually
first
have image
description of
pages for
Albedo.
characters or cool moments, but it still messes with the pacing. Yeah, it still absolutely will mess with the pacing, even if you do it masterfully, interrupting a page of narrative with a random picture, and then you go back to the narrative. It's still interrupting the pacing. It will be fucked up, even if people do it well. I am aiming for general practice. If someone wants to go pull a Tolkien and become a god of putting pictures into the middle of their story,
Fucking
great
Tolkien,
for
man.
them. But I'm talking general practice here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say like the shit Tolkien did, the shit other mega famous authors did in their stories, I would not generally recommend as general practice for writing narratives.
Because you're not XYZ.
Right. You aren't that motherfucker. You have to be you, and you have to figure out where you're going from where you're going, but first, actually make sure your writing is coherent. Then you can figure out your style. Forcing it into the middle of text absolutely fucks it. Yeah, totally true. If it's a full page that's
definitely
used, it works a little bit better because then the story can continue. Yeah, it's basically the equivalent. If you're using a full page for it, it's effectively this equivalent of.
That's what the light novels do.
Yes, like I said, it depends on where you put it and how
Yes, it depends on where you put it, when you put it. All that is, of course, important. Just a related side note: if you guys haven't read the 50th anniversary edition of The Hobbit, which I was fortunate enough that my father allowed my brother and I to read
I believe
that.
I purchased it from my dad.
Huh?
I said I believe I purchased it from my dad.
Yes. If you haven't had an opportunity to read that version, it's fantastic. Like the full color illustrations are so wonderful, and they give you such a great look at some of the scenes.
Right. No. And I don't disagree that sometimes putting pictures in and again between chapters I personally feel is the most optimal spot. Because also at the same time, Phoenix over here brings up in Worm when Bonesaw releases the prions, and that's a very terrifying statement.
Yeah.
Taylor meets two people she thinks are Gru and Lisa. Would it have been a better reveal that these two were part of the Slaughterhouse 9 if you did it in text versus having a picture of it to associate? I think, personally, having a very stylized image of it at the end of the chapter after the reveal would have been way better.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing where a description is going to be better. If you had just the right art and you put it in just the right spot, maybe you could make a more powerful statement. But Wildbow, I don't believe Wildbow he doesn't have the writing chops to deliver on that scene, frankly.
No, he don't. No.
So I doubt he had the art chops to deliver on that scene. Because again, right, part of what helps Overlord is Overlord has a very distinct style. Which it's weird to say, right? But
no,
part
absolutely,
of the way it's
yeah.
made, part of the way that the style is made is designed to help enhance, right? Generally speaking, when you
Right.
look at Overlord's art, it's drawn in a way to be vaguely disquieting, right? I don't want to say
Yes.
scary or unsettling.
Yeah, disquieting is definitely, yeah.
To help right? To help you understand the way that like someone who looks at Albedo, who is an objectively beautiful individual, can disquiet people, right? Because
she's not
too
supposed to be.
pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely, it can be a scenario where I feel like again the stylized images, the very stylized images, to give the story its own little flavor of not just generic realism picture of like, oh, this is what the character looks like. You get them in a good backlight. This is what my idealized form of the character. Effectively, slap that in at the end of the chapter or something, or at the back of the book or whatever. And it doesn't disrupt the pacing. It's not relevant to any specific scene, but it's like I had this really cool idea for how the character would look in this position, wearing these clothes. Is it relevant? No, but it's cool. Here, everyone look at it. Look how cool it is. That's again,
I would actually really like to see. This is gonna sound weird. I think getting whoever does the illustrations for Overlord to do illustrations of the Fae for Dresden Files would be an excellent match.
Yeah, no, I think that would work. Yeah, I think that would work out great. I stumbled into one of those Tumblr conversations that compared Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Witcher, and how the authors were traumatized by major wars made me cringe.
Well, no, but here's the at least
Tolkien
as far as
traumatized by war.
Here's the thing. Okay. I haven't seen that Tumblr conversation, but as far as Tolkien goes, he absolutely was traumatized by war.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in World War I, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm. There's nothing inherently wrong with someone who's been in a war. World War One, well, World War One and World War Two were both fucking awful, but World War One was a particularly special brand of hell. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, of course it
Trenches of the
affected him,
Somme.
and the way that, of course, it affected him, his writing, his. You can't come out of a war and not have had it affect your world, right? Going to war fundamentally alters people, right? That is something that we have seen time and time again through people throughout history in psychology. Because war, right? Look, we all like reading stories about war and big cool ass action heroes, but we're all adults here and we all remember the fact that war is fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
PTSD exists as a thing for a reason.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us can really speak on it here. So
Yeah, I don't think anyone here is contesting. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
People who've actually been through it have a very different experience of it, and it will affect the way that they write and things that they write about and their opinions about stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the author of The Witcher or
I don't
George
know
R. R.
enough.
Martin to comment if they were. So.
Well, I mean, and not only that, I also don't know enough about any three of them, and I honestly don't think anyone besides maybe their children could even say whether or not what's going on there, unless they themselves have outright stated, "Oh, because I was in the war and this happened in the war, this is why I wrote it this way."
I did. I don't remember when it was in like 7th
Who
or
the
8th grade. I did a book report on Tolkien. He did express that.
But what I'm saying is I can't say beyond what the authors themselves have said, and possibly their children or spouses. I can't say how much their writing was actually affected by their times in war, and how much of that they even realized. On top of that. So, G.R. Martin might come out and say, "Oh, my time in war never affected how I write things." But, he doesn't know that, actually, entirely. I mean, it might have entirely changed how he thought, and so he just never saw anything wrong with how he wrote.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. That's true.
I bring all this up because Wildbow experimented adding art into the middle of his text. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Yeah, and I think, honestly, that's the problem at the end of the day. If you include random pictures, like the Danish boy here included No Game, No Life, a light novel, just random picture of, some anime girl blushing or some shit.
No Game, No Life does it fucking awfully.
Again, it's just like... it can really ruin pacing, and let me be clear here, I am the sort of person that would prefer better pacing over being correct when it comes to spelling and grammar.
There's definitely plenty of authors that can spell that don't know what the fuck pacing is.
Yeah. And bad pacing can make a good story terrible, and good pacing can make a bad story tolerable.
No, bad pacing can make even a good pacing can make even a bad story excellent, right? If
I wouldn't go that far, but if that's your opinion,
things
then
are delivered well and at the right time, even if you don't have an original good story, it can still make something like delivered excellently. Like,
oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Right, like, but Lord of the Rings. Let me rephrase that. The Lord of the Rings, as much as I love Tolkien has some wicked bad pacing problems. But that has a lot to do with the fact that the man was making a mythology, not a God damn, why can't I talk? The man was making a mythology, not necessarily just a complete story, but that's a different story for another time, right? If you look at what Peter Jackson did with the Lord of the Rings movies, not The Hobbit, just the Lord of the Rings movies, the Lord of the Rings movies are masterclasses of pacing. Condensing what's needed in this, right? Condensing what's needed in the story, condensing it down to the bare minimum. Does a great job.
Tanya the Evil winning again. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like Tanya the Evil benefits from the picture breaks, with its absolutely dry text and worship of the Chicago School of Economics and its opinions on war and peace.
The Chicago School of Economics deserves to be worshipped.
It's not that dry.
No, the light
not.
novel can be pretty bad.
It's not terrible. It's certainly enough that I had to put it down and be like, I'll come back to this later.
Okay, that's fine. But at times, when it's not being dry, it does benefit in the middle of the chapter from shit where it just shows, okay, here's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, like, you can get some really cool, and I think the emphasis here is stylized. I think that's where my opinion gets weighted the most on this. Is if it's just like here is a generic picture of a forest. This is the forest they are in. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. But if it's a very stylized, I mean, anime by its very nature is stylized, but if it's a very stylized picture, this sort of kind of depiction you would get, even if it's a non-anime story, the sort of depiction you get if it's like you drew this picture with colored pencils, the sort of shading that comes from that, and the sort of hard lines that can come from that. If it's that sort of picture, if it's not just some realism, I snapped this picture with my camera, unless it specifically is like, a Blair Witch trial sort of story, then I feel like this stylized picture will contribute more, no matter where it's placed, than a realism picture.
Yeah, well, like,
But
right,
No
I'm just gonna
Game No
put-
Life proves quite well that just slapping a anime picture in the middle of a text, even if you take a full page for it,
Yeah,
still
right.
doesn't,
Just the covers of Overlord do such a great job of setting
yeah.
tone and theme.
And like, you slap that in the middle of some text going on, because you're like, the boss rose up, flames spewing everywhere, and that's what's on the next fucking page. 100% okay with that shit.
Yeah, that's just gonna make the narrative excellent, right? Or,
It underlines the narrative.
Right.
it's weird to say, but the D&D adventure books
Right.
used to do a great job with
Yes.
giving DMs images like that. They wouldn't give you a description of Strahd. They just gave you a picture of a terrifying fucking vampire and said, "That's Strahd. Go."
Or a DM slaps a figurine down on the middle of the table. There you go. That's what you're fighting.
Right?
DM
I
takes
think
towel
everyone
off
can
the
remember the
object he
first
carried
time.
in.
Yeah, I think everyone can remember the first time the DM slapped the beholder on the table and you went, "I have to fight that?"
Roll for initiative. It's like,
that?
Roll for initiative. Okay, everybody, we're wasting all of our spell slots. We just started the dungeon. I said we're wasting all of our spell slots. Did I stutter?
I mean, yeah, no, I've honestly had some great times with DMs where, the DM just like, all right, guys, roll for initiative, and we're like, we all roll, and he's like, okay, great, fantastic, you all did amazingly, except, the floor
issue.
starts vibrating, and this starts shaking, and then out of the floor, as it explodes forth, erupts, and he slaps down a giant purple worm, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or the first time you encounter a bullet.
Yeah. But no, I think that settles the discussion on pictures being included in stories. Comes down to what the consensus is so far. Stylized, you have to properly place it. It's not always terrible. It could be good. Sometimes it improves the story. Yeah. But back to Ruby and back to Aura being bad. Not that Aura, the other Aura. I feel there's a lot that they fucked up with it. Part of it was trying to explain it. Most of it was trying to quantify it. They could have added a lot more visual indicators. Monty, as an animator and choreographer, really should have known better to include visual elements. I mean, come on. Like, of all things that I expected him to not fuck up, the visual elements was it.
Yeah.
But he absolutely just dropped the ball on that one. Yeah, like, imagine how cool it would have been if Weiss, when her aura gets low, starts dropping these fucking snowflakes, you know, Yang, when her aura gets low, little spurts of flame start coming off of her. Ruby, when she starts getting low, like little fucking dying rose petals start flaking off of her.
Right.
That would have been
shit.
cool
Blake's
as fuck.
could have been the coolest, with Blake's like leaking half-formed illusions of Blake falling apart mentally. You know, reflecting
Oh,
what's actually
Jesus.
going on.
Yeah, I mean, it could have. You know, you could have had some really interesting shit involved in that. That would have been a great indicator to, oh, hey, they're low, by the way. I know combat, really fast-paced, high, octane combat's happening right now. But, oh, look, Ruby just took a hit, and now dying rose petals are coming off of her.
Plus, that would have been a great way to emphasize and lean into the emotion, what should have been incredibly relevant emotional state of the individuals in combat.
Yeah, exactly. And then you wouldn't have had to have this absolute horseshit anymore about, oh no, their aura level got too low. Oh, well, how much aura does it take to fight a Grim? We're gonna keep changing that. Okay. You know, Yang takes a bunch of damage with her aura to activate her aura, to burn her aura so she can punch hard, which costs even more aura. At what point in time does she lose aura? Never! What? Oh, by the way, there's this guy, you might know him, he's called Adam. Yeah, he can just cut through aura, because
fuck you, that's why.
He's so cool, he's my original character. He's so cool and he can cut through anything. His name is Virgil.
But, like, honestly, really, like, without even retrofitting Adam into anything else besides exactly what they put into the story, which you guys have all heard my issues with, if you had a moment where Yang is, bleeding dying embers now, and, I mean, not literally bleeding, but, it's coming off of dying sparks are coming off of her, to show that she's low, and he shows up, and she's like, no, I won't let you hurt Blake, clearly putting herself in danger, because she's low on aura, and you can all see that, and she lunges for the bad guy, and he cuts her arm off. Everyone would be like, oh, wow, she put herself in danger to save her teammate, and look how much, how far they progressed. But instead, we have no indication that Yang is low on aura. We have no idea. She might be fucking full at this point. We have no idea because they slapped a fucking health bar on everyone and then never showed the health bars again unless they wanted to show off person versus person combat in a completely supervised setting.
Yeah. You know what? You could have kept the health bars. And just like in every fucking sci-fi squad-based game, I'm playing Republic Commando, I can see the health of Sev and Fixer.
Right. No, that would have been cool. Like, like before a fight takes place, everyone's like, all right, guys, activate your tracer, and they all fucking press a button on their scroll, and like a health bar pops up on like all of their backs or some shit to indicate to us that they're now seeing something that is like a fucking squad HUD.
Right? Or it doesn't even have to be that, right? Right? Scrolls are so incredibly versatile, right? The fact that people aren't wrist mounting the damn things.
Right, yeah, there's something. Like literally Dying Light had this shit, the fucking, literally on your wrist in Dying Light. It's hard to see sometimes, but your wrist watch, that little thing that tells you how close to being infected you are, actually changes the closer you are to becoming infected. And it'll start fucking beeping when you get too close. And just like that little fucking LED strip on their wrist would have been enough to just show that, yeah, they took the technology of being able to monitor your aura and fucking used it. But yeah, I mean, Ruby just makes so many mistakes, and it's so painful to watch people try and just force shit in to Ruby to fit their just absolutely mind-numbing shit. Speaking of mind-numbing shit,
Oh no, is it finally the time?
it's finally time to talk about The King of Grimm by Delvin Dracula.
By what?
Delvin Dracula. Yes.
Can we
Delvin
just hear whatever
Dracula.
porn that Sign's writing?
His
like,
real name is Fernando Fidel Gonzalez.
Oh, wait. Oh no.
He lives in Louisiana. He's getting close to 30. He's a Baptiste.
I updated 2 hours ago. Oh no.
Check out my AI art on DeviantArt.
No.
God.
Ain't no way. Bro, actually this retarded.
Treasured Silver. John Arc and Ruby Rose, two heroes who saved Remnant from Salem 15 years ago. They live happy lives with someone they love. However, a treasure will bring them together and cause them to butt heads. What could ever make these two? Thank you, Cass.
Very cool.
I hate that.
My own spell was against me when I entered Discord. It moved it to 100% volume.
That's what you get.
That's
Perish.
Oh,
that's called a skill issue.
I don't know why, but it changes my volume every time I enter and exit a Discord voice chat.
Good.
That's an unfortunate personal problem.
That sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah. In fact, it might just be karma.
Yeah. One might even say.
Listen, I know I was born Australian, but I don't deserve that karma. I wasn't born Brazilian, after all.
Diagnosis, skill issue, indeed, yes. Yes, sir. So anyway, sequel to Treasure Silver. The world's strongest huntsman and his son are going to face lots of challenges from old enemies and new enemies and strange occurrences. And the Grimm are mutating now. What is this, fucking Gears of War 2?
Yes.
That'd be more interesting.
Probably.
And it's all due to the Ark family. What awaits the Arks and their friends and their family? Let us see by reading this story. Out of character, extremely overpowered John. 82 chapters. 540k words. 161 favorites.
God. Damn.
Out of character OP John. So, author's self-insert. Gotcha.
Yes, and he's been updating this for 2 years. Yeah.
Which author is this?
Some random ass dude who lives in Louisiana.
Not me, fucker.
Surely not. Surely this is
this is not another attempt at
Sign
duplicity. Yeah, it's not another sign alt.
Listen, we've already got fucking his gamer one. Now we need a trash one.
I don't understand how anyone can write that much. I can sort of get it if they're getting paid, but holy shit, that much for that little. Yeah. I've said that often in the past. It's like these people are coming out here with these hyper OG stories that are barely Ruby, that are barely Harry Potter, that are barely Naruto. And
they can change it up and literally make money.
They write 600k words, and it's like, homie, you just wrote 6 books, and you're never gonna see a single fucking cent from that. I mean, usually. Now, sometimes they have fucking Patreons, you know, whatever. And, you know, sometimes their story massively takes off, and they have like 6,000 favorites and follows, and they got like 400 people on Patreon paying them $5 a month.
Or like Noodlehammer have a female alt that you actually sell.
It's not doing too great for him.
As someone who has actually done that before, I'll say it's because it was fun, and I was bored.
And now that's fair, but as far as
Now you're
I'm
just horny.
Yes.
yeah, now he's just horny. But admittedly, even with the story that will not be named, you more or less still stuck to the world.
Yeah.
I spun up
wasn't-
a lot of things from whole cloth, but yes, I
Yeah.
used the world itself as a framework. I
Most
just had to
people
fill in all the gaps that Rooster Teeth left.
Right,
The
and
thing is, most people will go 600k words and talk about aura like twice, and it doesn't even really make a difference in any combat situations or anything like that. By then, they're not really even writing Ruby, but they still call it Ruby.
right, that's sort of my
Because-
point. That's my point, though. Is the difference between
Yeah.
you doing it sign and this guy here. And what we see very often with a lot of these very low favorite, low follow stories is it's like, this is my Harry Potter story of my OC in Brazil, and they don't use wands, and they don't cast Latin spells, and she has to go fight the immortal phoenix of the mountain for the soul of her mother. And it's like, all right, so what part of this is Harry Potter then?
That sounds like
It's
a
my wizard-
competition novel.
It's my wizard Sona.
No.
But but that's my point, though, right? Where
Yeah.
you were like, okay, well, the character stays in the city, and the character interacts with all of the main cast, and all of the main
Yes, he did
cast
have
act in
to-
character,
Yes,
more
he
or
did have
less.
to make up his own OCs for things like the PMC and for the actual Arc Sisters because they weren't shown
Right,
yet.
because they weren't shown yet, and there was nothing really even to base anything off of besides everyone
you ever-
using Cor Alaron's fucking fanon.
Yes. Yes. By the way, Sign, did you ever call the lesbian sisters or the lesbian sister or not? I haven't. For some reason,
I
got a
don't
vague
think
memory
he
that you
did. I
had one of those.
think Sign fell along the lines of one of the people who made all of the sisters, or a majority of the sisters, combat oriented.
Yeah, and
Yes.
everyone was bisexual because of a lack of men, right?
Lack of men.
Which, I mean,
Not everyone, but about 90% of the women, yes, because of ratio world.
Which, I mean,
Yeah.
admittedly, it doesn't even have to. Ruby doesn't even have to be a ratio
Oh.
world to pull that sort of shit out of your hat, because you just have like, okay, so a large amount of men go to the front lines to fight Grimm, and canonically, Rooster Teeth made it that villages just whole ass disappear, which means a lot of casualties are taking place, and if a majority of men are the ones going to the front lines to do this,
Then you get a low ratio of
Also,
men.
yes, Grynet, we are very, very familiar with DXD and the authors that spawned that shit show.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, High School DxD has good potential in terms of world building, but they made it horny.
Yeah.
We are very aware of DxD, and we've
Wait,
gone off
yeah,
multiple times about
what's
the world
this,
of DxD.
What's this devil plan for infinite magic using autism? Have I heard this before?
I don't think you have, actually. The mythology being real is done before, but I like the way they did it, where it's sort of exaggerations and shit, and instead they just made horny shonen. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I like the idea of the myths. I like the general gist of what DxD was trying to get at, where a majority of the myths moved on from their myths.
Yes.
Like, that's sort of like a cool... I don't want to say, subversion, and I don't want to say, not unpacking,
It seems like the next logical
deconstruction.
course
That's
of
what it was.
action.
No, I don't want to say it's a subversion or a deconstruction, but I like the alternative of, actually, all of these myths are real, and they've all existed since the time of their myth, and it's been a really fucking long time, and, at this point, they're not super into
God things
being
anymore.
their myth still.
It
Dracula's
seems like things progress.
oh my god, I am so tired of drinking. I am so tired of terrorizing villages. I just want a nice Merlot and a book. Fuck off.
Right,
Yeah.
Odin
Jormungandr
becoming a
does-
horny old man, I think that's actually kind of
Pretty-
funny. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Jormungandr deciding that
problem,
he doesn't want to circle the world, he just wants to nap is pretty cool.
yeah, it's...
my problem with DxD is the problem that I have every time I see
The main
someone
character.
who's like a porn artist, who's like really right. They make objectively great art. It's
Right.
like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really great art. I wish you weren't wasting your time with porn.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of like pictures out there where I'm really hesitant to share them with people. Because it's like, if they go... Because, like, this is the one non-horny post, right, from the porn artist, and it's really good, and I would love to share it with people, but then people would be like, hey, where did you get this? And it's like...
Now you have to let people know you got it from the horny poster.
Yeah, well, it's like, right? Like, I remember one time I was online, and I was flipping through Twitter, and it's like, I saw art, and I was like, that's some really good art, but it looks really familiar. Click on the link. Oh, it's Shad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, see, like, occasionally Shad has a completely non-horny, non-degenerate art post.
Rarely.
And they're they're great.
And
Shad
they're really good. And
Shad's
it's
a great
like,
artist.
Why?
It's a shame the man's in jail.
Yeah.
No, he's out.
Well,
he's out now?
He's been posting new art.
Oh, well,
Let
there
me
you go.
rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. It's not a shame that Shad went to jail. He was drawing some degenerate ass stuff.
Well, that's not why he went to jail.
I know. This is why you should have stayed there, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure he could do regular art, but the horny art just...
It just pays more. No, I mean, ultimately, that's what it was in the end. Like, I
Oh,
knew some
gosh,
people
I know
in
it pays better.
college that were just like, yeah, I earned like $800 a day making degenerate furry art for people.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay,
I
listen,
get paid
I don't know
$38 an
what it
hour,
was.
and I can't live on my own in a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no one can. I don't know what it was about Champlain.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, Sneaky.
All the artists were alcoholics.
Well, they were. No. That I completely understand why. Because all of our artist friends were putting themselves through
college.
Champlain
Well, yeah, using porn
with the furry porn.
Yeah.
But like I don't know what it was about Champlain. There were so many artists. I would say 85% of the artists we knew, and I actually knew a lot more artists than Sneaky because I was in the game development program.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you always seem to have so much cash, and like you never have a problem getting anything. Why is that? Oh man, I'm drawing furry porn.
Yeah.
And they're like, I was like, is that you into that? They're like, no, I hate it. I don't want.
Furries get paid every 2 weeks, and they roll in with like a $4,000 paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's
if
like
you tell a furry, if the furry commissions you for art and you tell them $1,000, they will tell you, "Wow, that's cheap."
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it turns out most artists don't want to draw and this is just making examples up here, a giant throbbing erect horse dick.
Yeah.
Or Subway
pounding a foxman. They don't want to draw that. But if you offer them $4,000, they'll draw it.
Yeah.
Morals, what are those? I like.
There's a reason people are wondering who all these suspiciously wealthy furries are.
Yeah, I mean, that honestly always draws up the question of where the fuck do all of these furries work that they're making this much money? At what point does price outweigh morals? It's quite easy.
There was a point where I was like, if I join the furry club, can I get a better job?
No.
No. They're putting themselves in debt. They take out a loan just for furry art and fursuits.
Sometimes.
Some of them. But
other times, again, they're earning $182K.
There were plenty of them at Champlain. Yeah. Plenty of them just had cash.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get into art.
Yeah, drawing a giant dragon having sex with a mountain, both are enjoying it. I will not draw that. I'll pay you $600. So how gaping should the mountain's butthole be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm Australian. Spiders are my specialty. Do you want me to add any anywhere?
All I'm saying is that there is a clear point where morals, or personal morals, etc. Well, no, not disappear. Reinforce themselves, and doesn't matter how much money you'll offer to pay someone. I'm pretty sure Sign would even turn down money if someone's like, "Hey, I'll pay you $1,000 to write 1K words about Tanya getting coal trained."
That's a no.
Exactly.
What?
Coal trained.
Don't worry
No,
about it.
no. You know what?
Don't worry
I've
about
managed to. I recognize
Don't
that
worry about
statement.
it.
I've
Don't-
managed to remove from my brain the specifics, and I don't need to relearn them. Right? I've found a part of my brain where my brain was like, this record has been removed for the safety of your brain.
404
Don't find it out
data
again.
expunged.
Yeah. Record expunged for mental stability.
Yeah. But as far as why I was pinged about DXD, yeah, the whole idea was blah blah blah. Devil magic is literally a reality hack. Blah blah blah. You cast a spell that just goes on forever because magic apparently doesn't have a decay rate.
Yeah, apparently people have what, magic reserves, or is that just bullshit fanon?
Oh no, people have magic
No,
reserves.
yeah, dude. People have magic reserves because Issei has a rice grain for his fucking magic reserves.
Yeah, and the thing is that you use magic, your magic grows, especially as a devil where your entire existence is based on how much magic you have, because you can actually change your whole fucking body, everything about yourself if you really wanted to. But devil magic, because of its Sheogorath tier wimminess, naturally turns the devil into what they view themselves as the most.
Devils are all OP Mary Sue bullshit in universe.
Well, no, not really, because like, did Cyrog just cripple with magic or have absolutely no talent? Because that just implies he has no imagination.
He had no imagination.
He had no imagination,
He
but
was C8.
But he quite literally managed to shonen power up himself.
Yes.
Because he believed that if he just kept lifting larger boulders, he would get stronger, so he did.
Which his magic probably did help him there.
Yeah, no, it's for devils specifically, literally yes.
Yeah. That's why Issei is so strong with the power of belief in fucking boobs.
Yes,
I'm
quite.
also writing a DXD story right now for commission.
Are you really? Is it like
Yes,
remotely good, or is it?
It's
using Runius, who is
Renea, yeah, the original Grammarly,
great grandmother.
the original Grammarly, who just takes some time
Yeah.
to sleep in centuries or millennia away, and wakes up every once in a while.
And is it going anywhere with it, or is it like another JKDK story?
It's all lewds.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it an OC
course it
main
is.
character, or is it using Issei?
It's original character. I'm not.
Yeah,
touching
that's
Issei.
about what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the man's being paid.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
the general idea is that main character is a low-born devil, basically has very little magical power, casts a spell that allows him to add magical power to it and subtract magical power to it, and then just continuously empties his reserves into this spell, and then over time, he effectively makes a hammer space version of magical power. And over time, his reserves keep increasing more and more and more because he keeps emptying them more and more and more. And then he just basically gets infinite power because he plugged the power outlet into itself.
And when does he Starlight Breaker Valhalla so he befriends all the Norse and the Vikings?
At some point, probably.
Listen, Nanaha has never proven us wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that.
No.
For sure.
Instead of writing
Talk about-
anything ever down, I'll desperately try to do it all in my head, only to forget where I started. I'll fucking outline in my head a little bit general ideas, but I'll try to write it down. But more or less, whenever I try to actually sit down and write anything, life decides to take a bat to my knees. But back to Ruby. The choices we make by the Dark Betrayer.
Can we not go back to Ruby?
No. This is too funny.
Too late.
Doing what's right isn't always easy, and Pyrrha found this out the hard way. When John revealed his forged transcripts, she had no choice but to tell Ozpin. Little did she know how this would affect not only his life, but hers as well. John fucks Ruby instead.
But Ozpin already fucking knew.
Yes.
Author is dumb.
Imagine writing a story about that in 2021. That's when they started that story. 2021. They still were teasing the next season in 2021.
Right.
So, like, this is what I don't get, you know? It's like it's 2020, and someone's writing a Naruto story about what if Naruto had parents that didn't love him, and actually they were all still alive, and actually all of the Biju were just demons instead of, like, some sort of god tree creation thing. And, I mean,
It's
well,
stupid
obviously,
because-
we're ignoring all of Boruto
Yeah.
lore, so we just don't even
Yeah.
fucking bring that up. But
It's
Border isn't real. Wake up.
basically someone trying to write a Naruto circa 2006 story in 2020, and it's just like, bro,
what is
No.
all this? Except then you'll have idiots saying, "This is all so original. It's amazing."
no,
this
you
is so
won't.
much cooler."
Their story gets like 3 favorites.
Some will, depending on how it's written.
No, I mean, it's a great example here of, you know, this guy, you know, is
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately
Sick.
getting 2,000 favorites for asking a question that we already know the answer to.
Yeah.
But then on the
Well,
flip
you
side,
think-
this guy gets 100 favorites for
Yeah.
exploring something new.
And then you got the next one, which looks like it's been inspired by Signs.
Yes,
movie
definitely inspired by Sign. Playing for keeps. Average guy from Earth gets become John Arc from Gamer in front of his eyes. Life may be game, but stakes are real. Harem. Rated M for language, 15 chapters, 132k words, and fucking 2,000 favorites.
Motherfucker.
This just reminds me of your example of it doesn't really work when GamerFix have family because you went, "Mother, what day is it? Monday of year."
Yeah. Mother, what day is it? Of what year and country are we in?
Great. Thank you for telling me, Mother. By the way, I'm your sister.
I knew that.
Yes, I was
Sister?
perfectly aware of that information.
I was testing you.
Like, the only way that a gamer fic would work with no one knowing the person is if you give it to a wild child raised by wolves.
Well, no, honestly, a gamer fic with family would work if the person writing the story actually had A, a family IRL, and B, siblings.
They'd have to have a father
True.
then.
Because then they would actually be able to write how you could pull that off. Because I'm pretty sure, right, if you
No
know,
father figure?
someone somehow suffered an isekai as me, and I just kind of just strolled up to my family and be like, "What day is it today? In this fine country that we're in?" My family wouldn't
That-
even fucking blink.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I dealt with it by playing the amnesia card.
Yeah,
well,
you
yeah,
did.
your character also got found out within like a
2
chapter.
chapters. Not even. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I played that completely straight. It's like, no, I can't. I don't believe this. You know too much. So what the fuck is actually going on?
Who the fuck are you?
You ain't Juan.
No.
Warnock. You ain't Juan. You can't hold your tequila.
So that's just like, no, fucking Mexican gets incarnated as John Arc and keeps
And
calling
just keeps-
himself Juan.
Who's a Juan out?
Si, senor.
Why am I named after number 1?
Hey, I am number 1. My name is Juan Arc.
He, instead of becoming a huntsman, he just decides to become an announcer for soccer games.
Invents soccer. Becomes
Just become the
announcer for
announcer.
soccer.
Ready to go!
He made a
There was a
sacrifice.
meme that actually had John in a sombrero with that fucking
Yes.
guitar.
I mean, that's a very
Yeah.
famous meme.
Yes, that
Uh,
is.
Can't find it anywhere though.
He made
got
a
one
sacrifice of his balls for the ball, and everyone will remember him. The Indian balls announcer. Did you guys ever see that
No.
clip?
I do.
Oh my god. It's like a solid 3-minute clip because this one guy slid to stop the ball from hitting the
Oh
goal.
yes, the
And
Indian announcer. It's like
He slid
he
into
saved-
the goalpost right
Yeah.
into his crotch going like max speed, and the
Oh.
Indian announcer's like,
Hold
he
on.
got the ball but lost 2.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. I posted
Oh,
that in
God.
the SDM meme channel a while back.
The sacrifices he made will resonate throughout the generations that he won't have.
Yeah, yeah. That was imagine the
Oh
best.
yeah, you just got it. Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, it was like the best fucking Indian announcer ever that I posted or something in memes.
Yeah, it's good. It was a great one. It was like he just kept fucking going and going. He like every single term you could use for
Yeah.
balls. He was like, he might have a nut allergy now. And he just kept throwing them out.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know I posted this. Yes, found it. And into memes and shit posts it goes.
Yeah, not
Oh,
only
no.
did he sacrifice on this play, he sacrificed future
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah. Laura found it first.
Well, it's India. It's not like they, not like they'll notice the population loss.
The goalpost is on. Just look at them.
And not just taking one for the team, he took 2 in the center.
Jesus Christ.
Like my ex-girlfriend.
Oof.
Ball is gone just like girlfriend who will never return.
You know what? That may be the best announcer in a long time.
Oh, these are great. Sports announcers.
Yeah, no, I mean, you get some great. I mean, even Dota has some great sports announcers. Ding, ding,
Listen.
ding, motherfucker!
Listen, can I say that?
Yeah, and followed immediately up with, wait, can I say that? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Listen. If you have not heard the glory of Sir Action Slacks,
You did this Sir Action Slacks compilation clip.
Okay, Sneaky, you know who I'm really sad we lost? I'm sad we lost fucking Toby. I haven't heard Toby cast in years.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I found the sombrero drawn.
Back off or I will play Cruel Angel Thesis.
There he is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I just looked
true.
up sombrero John Arc meme.
Anyway, are you ready, gentlemen?
No, but
The
let's do this anyway.
smell was the first thing that registered. I had never been hospitalized myself, but visiting older relatives impressed. The unmistakable smell of antiseptic on my memory.
This motherfucker stole my intro. Hang on, give me a link.
There
Wait,
you go.
is that from your fucking Game of It?
This
Hang
dude
on,
really
hang on,
just
hang on.
came out here, just wholesale copy pasted.
I'm checking Eastpick.
Next was the
Nice.
equally unmistakable feeling of an IV drip, recognizable from the times I had donated my blood or plasma. The susurration of distant voices underlaid the whirring and beeping of nearby machines. My mouth was dry, but I declined to open my eyes just yet, instead trying to remember how the hell I ended up here. Did I get into a car accident? I didn't think so. I didn't remember anything like that, but I was pretty sure that being hit by a car would probably fucking hurt, and that, however, I'd long been asleep, I would still be hurting now. I didn't feel sick either, and I was nodding off again, so it was a bit of a loss for how I wound up hospitalized. I heard a small ping noise, like an alert on a smartphone, of a type I always shut off when I get a new device. What is the last thing I remember? My head spun.
It's very similar. Why do I smell a hospital? My first thought on waking was that wherever I was smelled like antiseptic and sick people.
Yeah.
Opening my eyes confirmed my suspicion.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me post some things.
Oh, go ahead. Yep. We'll wait in anticipation. My head spun, and it occurred to me that despite all the associated memories that allowed me to identify a hospital and an IV, I didn't actually remember my recent history. How the fuck did I wind up here? I decided I should probably alert a nurse or someone that I'd woken up. I lived alone, halfway across the country from my folks, and so unless my buddy from work was somehow aware of what had landed me in this bed, I wasn't expecting anyone to be in the room. I opened my eyes and had so many questions. Question mark. Level question mark. Indigo. Arc. Me. Can't help but notice some similarities. Oh, you had a PM with him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is plagiarism, but it looks a little bit too similar. Hey, I've gotten many comments before on my most recent chapters as well. I haven't been paying the reviews a lot of attention because I write for my own personal entertainment.
Surely.
Yeah, you definitely write a gamer story for your own personal entertainment. Yeah, I believe you totally, bro. Please. All the other ones got bells.
Yeah, he actually gave it the same fucking name originally.
Oh my god.
Wow. I'm really hoping we can all remain civil while discussing this. We're all fans here. I read your story a year ago, looked at the premise, and said, wow, I could do better.
Ooh, bold words, author.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not what he literally said, but it's effectively what he said. Because I mean, no one looks at a story and goes, I'm gonna write this because I'm gonna do worse. You know, I mean, I guess there's outliers out there that would.
Right, sure, but vast majority.
But a vast majority of people are going, looking at a story and going, I really like that story. I'm gonna write one, and it's gonna be cool and awesome, and you know, implying that it's gonna somehow be better or as good as the story you're currently reading.
I would say people at minimum want to aim to make a story as good as the thing that someone else has written.
It was an idea that percolated in my brain for a year. I have your story up on a second monitor to copy from.
No, I don't, because apparently that's what was written in the
I did not
review.
have your story up on a second monitor to copy from. Yeah. Sorry, my brain was just translating it too real.
That's a very specific statement to make, author, unprompted.
I definitely wasn't rubbing my hands in malicious glee. I haven't gone back to your story ever since I finished it, specifically because I don't want to copy you. He didn't want to copy you so hard, he did.
He copied the name. He copied the title.
He copied the title, he copied the intro, he copied later chapters.
Yeah.
Except he's changed some of the names of the sisters, apparently, because one's Indigo Arc and yours is Joan Arc.
Joan's color was indigo.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
about to say.
Fucking course it
Yeah.
was. Listen, I haven't read your story in fucking over 5 years.
I can pull up memories of Sign's story possibly better than Sign can, but I can't tell you what I did yesterday.
Yeah, but
That's
to be
fair.
fair, Sneaky, you use that to make fun of him. Of course you're gonna remember it.
That's fair enough point.
The best part is when we use our memories to have hit to make fun of things we paid him to write.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, Atin has not felt that yet.
No, I paid him now.
You've paid him, but he hasn't written it.
Well, yeah.
Wait, what?
Apparently, the beginning ended up being similar regardless, but that makes sense. Waking up in a hospital is a logical place to begin an insert after the insert character dies.
Mm.
Not really? I mean, yeah, it's sort of generic-ish if you really want to push the envelope. I mean, character hit their head and now they remember things. I mean, yeah, that's pretty generic for an isekai. Now they remember being someone else. But specifically the hospital, and you're like, yes, yes, I smell antiseptic as your first sentence, like,
And old antiseptic and old people, yes.
Get out of hospital, get food, ask questions, get to grips with new situation. Meh. What I'm saying is I'm not surprised that we wrote the same story, but I am a different
because it can't be.
person with different
Surely.
ideas, and the consequence is my plans in the
No.
future will have different ideas.
Shut up, author. Nobody believes you. You're a fucking hack.
Yeah. A
A
lot
bad
of
hack.
people also mentioned that my title is literally yours. It's just an idiom that exists in the English
shut up.
language.
You know what's funny? I think I actually found this guy before his story had more chapters, because I was like, what was that Gamer Ruby fic I once read years back, and went looking for it, and I'm pretty sure I found Indigo Arc. I think I found this one instead, because it was named the same thing.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
No,
that's
and then
sort
I
of his
think I was
intention.
like, and then I think I remembered reading through it, and I was like, did he change this, what it used to be? Because it's a lot worse now. And then I just closed it up.
Did he V2 this? I don't remember these scenes.
And then I looked at the author's fucking things, and I was like, I don't remember any of these stories. I feel like I would have read them if the name of the game was this good as it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found this guy when it was still called Name of the Game. I just didn't remember the author.
You didn't invent this story name. Okay, this author. This would have been a better defense from this author if he didn't just admit that he read your story.
Yeah. Before writing this.
Yeah. You
If he had
didn't invent it, and I can tell you there's many stories that use this name because it's a good title. Yeah, I mean it is a good title. I mean, there's a reason why it's an idiom in English, I am not trying to claim ownership of your story. I'm just happen to tell a gamer John's story that's a self-insert OC called Name of the Game, where he fucks his sisters.
And everyone else.
I'm not trying to copy you, despite copying you entirely. I'm really hoping we can remain civil since we're all fans here. The civil thing to do, Sign says, is upon having similarities such as this pointed out, would be to accept that yes, you did aim a little bit too close and to change the title. It's what I would do if I wrote something uncannily similar, called it by the exact same name, and then someone pointed out the original if I was unaware of the original. If I was aware of the original, I wouldn't have pulled that off. A lot of people have mentioned this. So if I decide to, yeah, Slide makes the exact same point. So I decide to make a Ruby-themed gamer crossover story centered on John, with him striking it out on its own and naming it called The Games We Play. That'd be fine, right? You know what? I'm pretty sure Ryugi would thank you.
Oh, probably.
But, you know, that's a completely different reasoning, because he fucking hates that story.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I'm just trying to tell my lived experience. I mean, sorry, story.
Surely.
By all means, tell your story, sign says. But as a beta reader and as an author myself, my advice to you, if it were someone else's story that your story was catching flack for, would be exactly as I said above. Change it. You're under 20k words at this point. That's not a significant investment of time or effort. It's not wrong. Honestly, I wrote like 8k words in like 2 hours. It's just, you know, getting to that point where I have the 2 hours to write the 8k words is the hard part. Him to accept that it is too close, to remove it, to change the title, to rewrite it simply because it's under 20k words?
Yeah.
Not such a significant investment of my time or effort? No. But I wonder if you would still make this argument if the title wasn't the same and I was trying to blatantly copy you. No, son, I'm going to assume here, but correct me if I'm wrong, that if his story was literally not a copy of yours, you wouldn't tell him to change it.
No.
No. Stop. If your story isn't a copy of mine, there would be no reason for me to tell you to change your fucking story. Never mind.
But
Surely.
But Side, is there any story you wouldn't mind if he did copy and try to change it?
Nothing. Don't fucking do it.
The games we play.
Sure, do the
That's Ryugi's. That's Ryugi's though.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Ryugi's story should be buried in dog shit copycats with the exact same name and premise that just do his exact idea but worse.
Yeah, except it isn't. Which also means that if it did happen, people would say it was a good fic because it'd be compared to all the other ones with the same name but done worse.
Why is every story called The Games We Play so good?
Hey Ryugi, have you heard of this fic called The Games We Play? Kill yourself.
He would kill someone.
Have you heard of this great fic, Ryugi? I think you could use it as inspiration. It's called The Games We Play.
I saw that you had a story like that before, but this one is so much better. Have you tried looking through it?
There's actually a funny moment I remember. That someone actually quoted The Games We Play to Ryugi, and he's like, "Yes, I know. I wrote that."
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
And they were like, "Wait, no, you didn't. No, the author is different from fanfiction.net." He's like, "I didn't post it on fanfiction.net."
Someone just stole it and posted it.
Well, of course. What else are you supposed to do? Not steal?
And they just kept insisting. They're like, "No, you know, the fanfiction.net doesn't lie. You didn't post it."
Wait, were they the ones who posted it?
No. But the person was under this impression that the only place fanfiction gets posted is fanfiction.net. And if it's not posted there, then he didn't post it.
If you go through and actually read this, he even took the fucking outsider skill. He just wholesale copied parts. The alternate save data, save corruption. God damn. It's worse than I thought it was.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, so anyway, we're going through here. Open source argument title should be different. I was shaking my head at the games we play example because you did write a Ruby Gamer crossover based on John and did your own thing with that. Except he didn't call it the games we play.
The only elements my story shares with Ryugi's are the fact that they both use the gamer
And John.
and John.
Yeah.
Mine, his is John. Mine is John is an SI. No.
Yours
Yours is
fucks.
Juan.
The difference is yours fucks, his doesn't.
Sneaky
Not true.
reserves half his brain power to make fun of other people. Excuse me, sir. It's at least 90%.
No, I thought it was 80%, 15% alcohol, 5% life.
Why would I devote 15% of my brain power to alcohol?
No, that's how much the alcohol takes.
Ah, that's fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, it's just, the dude just blatantly copied off you, copied all your story beats, copied your idea. And like, don't get me wrong, sometimes someone comes up with a really good idea.
Not Stein, but someone.
Yes.
Of course not sign. That's why he takes commission, so other people.
Starfield player builds ship enemies can't hit because it's a giant L. That's
I'm upset that that's working.
I understand how it works too. It's because the center of the ship is actually the part of the L that has nothing on it.
So I see. So the AI is just programmed to aim center mass.
Yeah. So it's targeting the center, air quotes, of the ship, but it doesn't hit anything because actually, I mean, honestly, I personally feel like aside from the AI failure, this is an amazing example of like great engine shit. The guns aren't ray traced. Like the bullets flying around aren't sorry, not ray traced. Is it ray traced? I forget the term for it.
Oh, you mean scan? Oh,
So,
shit.
hit scanned. Hit scanned.
Hit scanned. Yeah.
Yeah. The bullets flying around aren't hit scanned. They actually can miss. And so I mean I think that's actually a major win for Bethesda. I mean, it's a major loss because the AI targeting is dog shit and they just programmed it to target center mass, but it's a major win because you're not being hit despite it air quotes targeting center mass because it's actually not hitting you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm thrilled that they put hit scan it or took hit scan out. Right, that was a huge complaint in Fallout. It was just, I'm just getting hurt.
Yeah, the AI just fucking auto shooting you. Yeah.
Right. By the way, Halo, take hit scan the fuck out, you fucking cowards. Put fucking real fucking bullet physics back in like you had in Reach, and your fucking goddamn game might not be so dog shit.
They're not going to do that. That would require work.
It was brought to my attention, not so politely in some cases, that this story used a different title as another John Gamer story did. I have since changed it. So you literally contacted him at minimum chapter 2. At maximum chapter 2.
Yeah. I contacted him. Chinlamp contacted him. A few other people who were previous readers contacted him and all told him the same fucking thing.
I wonder if I can find all these. Let's see. Let's look at the chapter 1 reviews. The first review. I hope that little sin gave you for hosting this. If yes, then carry on.
No.
What happened?
I looked up the reviews and looked up the chapter 1 reviews, and in June 2021, this was the first review by Strife666.
Wait, June of 21. Let's see.
2021.
June
Yeah.
22nd, 2021. It's all the way on the bottom on the.
This is
I
a-
hope
this
that
is from June
Literal
23rd.
Sin gave you permission. If yes, carry on. Is this a rewrite or just a repost?
Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Bruh. People were
I-
calling out your alt sock puppeting all the way back
At
then.
first, I thought this was a rewrite of a Ruby gamer fic by the same name with the way it began, but then realized this is a different account. But it also started in this hospital. Yours seems vastly different in tone.
Yeah, I mean, yes, different in tone, 100%. I definitely agree. This one's dog shit, the other one wasn't. I also like that there's
Oh,
no
this one
class
is good.
choices. Though I thought, oh god, this is one of those people. I
Chin
find
lamp, I've done-
picking a class to be limiting in a role-playing game.
Oh, shut your fucking
Oh,
stupid
fuck
mouth.
off.
You don't
Fuck
understand what
off.
balance is. You don't understand how to make a game. You're a fucking idiot. Shut
Listen,
your mouth.
I love the class-based system, and I hate the equipment-based system where people, no matter what you use, everyone's using the same equipment because that's the fucking meta.
Yeah,
Let people enjoy
true.
their classes.
yeah, especially in games. Yeah, especially in
Yeah.
games. But it's like,
I think he sock puppeted with a guest account.
what? Who?
The one I posted.
I love the Demolition Man reference. Also, Destroy 666. He does not need permission from Literal Sin. Any more than Literal Sin needs permission from Rooster Teeth.
This is fanfiction, not fiction press. What does that change?
That literally changes nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
hold on.
voices.
I was looking at
Okay,
Chin
I mean,
lamps.
okay. He's not entirely wrong, right? So first
except
off,
this is by a guess, so
well, I'm aware, but I'm saying he's not entirely wrong in that, technically speaking, this asshole doesn't need Sign's permission to write a story of the exact same premise, of the exact same name, and of the exact same title. You know, of everything else, right?
He doesn't even need, regrettably, he doesn't even need the permission to post almost the exact same story.
Yeah, he doesn't
Right.
need. He doesn't technically need permission because no author of fanfic.
It's a tricky thing. He's technically made substantive changes in that it's not
Not even that.
copy
It's
pasting.
even if they literally copied and pasted his story, they still, technically speaking, did not commit plagiarism because Sign is not capable of saying that he owns the story that he posted because it's using properties that he does not own.
That's a fucking technicality.
It's a technicality, which is why fanfiction.net has seen that and has explicitly stated in their posting rules that you are only allowed to post stories that you yourself wrote.
Yeah, I've had somebody actually just straight up copy and paste my shit from the current handle. It
Yeah,
was,
I remember that.
wanna
Yeah, I
say-
remember that guy. Yeah.
What was it? It was
Well,
it was
yeah,
the
right, and
Ruby one.
that's part of the problem. Since this jackwipe has technically written this story, even though it's almost a carbon copy of Signs,
By fanfiction's own rules, it's not technically illegal and he doesn't need permission. Yeah.
because he wrote it.
Yeah. Now, that's the technicalities. That's the legalities. Ethically, morally, you're dog shit.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, you're an asshole. You're dog shit. You know, it'd be if I release like there's a reason why they made a law specifically saying you are not allowed to make a product called like Band-Aid, but you spelled it without the hyphen.
Yeah.
Because Band-Aid sounds a lot like Band-Aid, the other brand name, and that can cause customer confusion, which is illegal by US law.
Yes.
However,
Also,
there is
Sign, he did
one
do the amnesia.
instance this is a nice little fun fact for you. There is one instance in the U.S. where there is a legal brand confusion.
Oh.
Pyrex glass.
Yes.
There is a capital P Pyrex and there's a lowercase p Pyrex in the US. And the reason why the lowercase p Pyrex can be sold in the US despite being a vastly inferior form of heat-safe glass is because that company that produces the lowercase p Pyrex glass bought the rights to use the Pyrex name so long as they changed the capital letter.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a you bought the rights thing. That's
That's
legal.
why I said
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's why I
there's-
said it's the only legal brand confusion allowed.
No, there is. Don't forget, there is another loophole, which is that if you do too good a job of marketing,
Yes,
you
okay,
can
yeah.
actually forfeit the rights to your thing, right? Because
Yeah.
Yes.
the windsurfer, I bring it up all the time. The
Windsurfer,
windsurfer
yeah.
is not the name of the actual like sport equipment. It's like a sailboard or something.
Yeah.
Windsurfer was a brand of sailboards, but
Yeah.
they made such a good product and they sold so well and everybody knew that it was a windsurfer that everyone just started calling it a windsurfer to the point where they actually could no longer enforce their trademark
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody just knew it as a windsurfer, right? It's like there was a weird point in
Yeah,
time
Kleenex,
where
Band-Aid, Hoover,
Xerox,
yeah, Xerox, yeah. Google.
Also, he actually does even rip off the amnesia plot that Stein had, except then admits that he knows a whole bunch of terms that he shouldn't know.
Well, yeah.
Literally the
That's
same
another
sentence.
thing that authors frequently get wrong is the amnesia stuff. Is there's multiple kinds of amnesia, and yeah, there is a form of amnesia that actually lets you contain all of the concepts you learned as a person up until that point, but have none of the personalized memories. That there is an actual form of amnesia that does that. Okay. So
yes.
you can actually have a form of amnesia that allows someone to walk outside of a hospital and just be like not startled at all by the loud roaring metal contraption in front of them because it will die. No shit, it's a car.
It's not retrograde.
No, I believe
is full and
retrograde is
total.
part of that.
No, retrograde is full and total amnesia. You don't know shit. You don't even know how to speak. The other one is partial amnesia, where you know common things, but you don't know personal details.
Oh,
Are
it was
you
partial.
no,
missing
Okay.
this one-
Tuesday?
This was not common things that he said he knew of these terms. Like, apparently, lacerations to the cranium resulting in moderate insanguination consistent with a grim ambush. Apparently, he knew that term. Insanguination, I would not expect someone to know. with
Amnesia
amnesia.
is basically fucking magic bullshit anyway.
Yeah,
So,
and as long as you don't cross streams when it comes to amnesia, as long as you don't make them go, oh my god, what's that growling metal beast over there? You mean a car? And then also at the same time go, oh yes, by the physics of, the pseudo principle of the Dick Sum Jingnu, the ability to fly is if I slap my hands twice like this and now I float. Like, as long as you don't do shit like that, you're pretty much fine when it comes to amnesia in media. Unfortunately, though, I say that in jest, but hilariously, everyone does it wrong constantly.
Well, yeah.
Somehow. Despite odds being in their favor of them basically not being able to fuck it up, they find the one special combination that fucks it up. But
also true review and true author's name as well for this next one.
What's going on here? Readers can't read. The more well-read of us will also take note of the fact that you blatantly copied the title of the fic. It took him that long to actually change the name?
He didn't change until the third chapter. though, so I don't know whether that was.
Okay, that was like a month later. Okay, so I mean, okay, yeah, that's fair. What's the oldest review on chapter 3? July 28th. Okay, so readers can't read might have actually been part of the reason why he actually changed the name. One of the best on the site.
Sadly, by numbers, if you look at it, yes, it is still in the top 10.
I'm aware, and unfortunately, I don't entirely disagree because I don't really
in the Ruby section. Yeah,
I don't really like.
Section, yes.
I don't really like a lot of the top 10. I will be honest.
Yeah. No,
most of the top 10 are core fix anyway.
Yeah, that's part of the reason.
Even if you ignore all of cores and make a top 10 of all the authors that aren't core, that are next, like the next.
I still don't like a majority of them.
Yeah. I think the only one that you said you'd liked is
Silver, and Silver, Systema.
Yeah.
The hospital awakening scene hits too close. Don't have time to do more than gloss over your words. Well, yeah. It looks like you imported their house location and John's reaction too. How much of that fic really inspired, and how much are you just using as a template?
Yeah. Yeah. I found gym lamps as well.
Yep. Wait, it looks like you had our fic open and second monitor, checking on things as you went. Mosaic plagiarism. Okay, so yeah, this dude completely blew out of proportion what he was being accused by, which just tells me that he believed he was plagiarized.
He
100%.
He was.
He was way too defensive about it that he had to admit.
Right, yeah, no, exactly. If someone goes, I think you just had our story up on another monitor and you were kind of just copying as you went. And then you go, I can't believe you would accuse me of sitting here, murdering a puppy as I wrote my story, twirling my mustache, beating a child to death. It's like, whoa there, buddy. You're getting a little much.
Yeah.
Yes. Come on, Birdo. Keep up here. Sign reel's not literal sin.
Yes, they're two different people.
They are absolutely two different people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But this fucking review. So these are the more recent reviews, right? Before I read your author's note, I didn't even notice that John's sister was being pushy and demanding. But now that I've read your author's note, which has told me how to think, I can't not see it in the story.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I don't know how to think until you point something out.
Dude's a moron.
Especially considering Azure's reckless plan, Blue, okay, to ship him to Mistral causes him to almost die, but nowhere do we get to see her being scolded by someone or feeling guilty about it. Okay. I mean, what if that's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to play defense for this dipshit here. But what if that's the point? You're on chapter 1. A character who is injured, the main character has just seemingly got off scot-free. You are on chapter fucking 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate how Violet was in Mistral, and that tragedy you're hinting at seems to be such a big hair trigger for the sisters. But they are fine with keeping seemingly major secrets from him while not appreciating him making his own decisions. though I guess they are programmed to treat him like a wallflower. Well, sir, how to tell me you've never had sisters without telling me you've never had sisters?
Also, older
Yeah.
siblings and being the baby sibling.
Yeah. How to
See,
tell
I never had
me
that problem.
your family
I wasn't-
experience without telling me your family experience?
You see,
Also-
I established with my sibling who wore the pants in the relationship.
Well, that's
Well-
because he's a bitch.
There's also, you got to take into account, the dude copied my work pretty much wholesale. And considering the actual background there, there's a reason John's sisters are overprotective of him, and it's because of the ratio. But without him actually going back and going, oh yeah, it's because of the ratio, which I borrowed from Sign here, then
Yeah.
it just comes off as way. I guess they're all just overprotective. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Mm.
Russell
It lacks
Nash,
context.
were it a one-time thing, would be okay. But you actually decided to bring the guy back as a villain later on, it will feel very cheap to me. I mean, a very young guy by himself does the impossible, and the casualty he couldn't have prevented, conceding that a child's mind is not rational and grief blinds. But the way you worded the end of the scene seems like you will bring the guy back because you don't want to give John an easy time. If you do that, don't.
Mm.
As any preteen can easily figure out that killing a named Grimm is no joke. I mean, any child
Mm.
would know. Like, if a child was grown up being told the stories of the various dragons of Europe, right? And then
Yeah.
someone goes out and kills a fucking named dragon.
It doesn't even
That's
have to be a name dragon, just a fucking dragon.
Well, I mean,
That's a big
yes,
fucking deal.
generally, but I mean, still, the point being is like, even if it wasn't like, so maybe no, let's not use dragon then, because that's too impressive. A named monster that is of the goblin variety. It's still you still killed Snot
named
Sleeve
monster.
the Gut Ripper or some shit. The child would still be impressed. You
Yeah.
know.
It had a name. It's obviously supposed to be a badass.
Right, they
Yeah.
grew up on these sorts of stories where all of the really scary monsters had some sort of special name attached to them. And so this isn't just a goblin, this is Snot Sleeve the Gut Ripper. Holy shit, that's really cool, you killed him, that's impressive. A
Like,
literal
my parents
child.
died while you're killing him. I hate you forever.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
yeah. It just makes no fucking sense. I hate you because you didn't save my parents, even though you're also about the same age as me and have no real reason to have been able to save them at all in the first place.
Yes.
Okay. The author's note at the end of this story basically answers my questions. The author apparently doesn't know a lot about Ruby, and that doesn't bode well for the quality of this story.
Mm.
Yeah. He saw a commercial for it once and decided to write about it, and maybe some porn.
Mm.
Wait, what? Oh,
He
Ruby.
saw porn of Ruby and decided to write about it.
No, don't you know he got it off your fic? Jacques was never
Exactly.
introduced. Was Jacques never introduced in your fic?
Oh, Jesus
no,
Christ.
no, not
This
as-
fucking author's note as well. Holy shit. This is the most self-indulgent story I have ever written. Happy birthday, Monty. I will carry your torch.
Oh my fucking
Yeah.
god.
Did
I
you
will kill
really
this-
just invoke the dead author to
Yes.
to amplify your story?
Yes. Yes, he did. He has no shame whatsoever.
Also, Constitution 10 equaling 250 HP. Is that the same thing you did in your story?
Probably. I'd have to look at the numbers.
That's another thing I have a major issue with in gamer stories, is that just like half the time the fucking person writing it, it's just like, I got 29 whiz now, that means they have like 600 mana or something.
I actually had skills and modifiers and a bunch of shit.
No,
That you could
I know
look
you
at
actually.
And go,
I
"The
know.
Math
I know
does
you
this."
actually put the math in, but I'm saying like half the time in these fucking gamer stories, they're just like, yeah, he's like level 12 now. He's got like 4,500 HP. It's just like, just
Great,
throw an arbitrary fucking number out. It just like doesn't matter
Yeah.
how much endurance or wisdom or intelligence they gain. They never fucking change the HP and MP until it becomes relevant in their story. Because oh no, they're out.
Yep. Except then at the exact same level, you have people like Ruby, where it's like, oh, by the way, I don't know how fast someone with a speed summons would be, so I've just made her numbers 2,000 for dexterity.
Oh,
Bullshit.
did he really?
No, not this guy, but I've seen that before.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was gonna say,
Where the
yeah,
numbers-
I've seen that
numbers
shit before.
fuck
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah.
one Naruto story that specifically died because the first couple chapters were actually pretty good. And you know, he's having Naruto do various chores, and he's got like these daily quests that give him like +1 to stats and crap like that. And the reason why the story died is because when he started having to introduce the other ninjas of the story, he was like, fuck, I have no idea how to give these guys numbers.
Yeah,
So
or
don't-
how to build it up.
Well, that's the problem, though, is he had to, because he already had Naruto using
His favorite-
Observe on everything,
That had numbers.
and everything had
and
numbers.
including other people like civilians and stuff.
Yeah. And so, like, when Kakashi rolls in, he's like, oh shit, I actually have to give him fucking numbers, and then he's like, oh shit, I have to give all the other elite ninjas numbers, and I have to somehow keep track of all of these numbers and balance them against each other, so, you know, if
And power
Kakashi
levels.
is this fast and
shit.
has this number of speed, that everyone who's slower than him has to have less speed than that, but if Naruto somehow gets like 100 speed, which is a third fastest Kakashi, unless I make this an exponentially scaling slider, but if I do that, then Kakashi's at 700 speed now, and he's way too fast, and I can't change that anymore because I don't know how to edit stories or some shit.
Yeah.
It's
Then some people decided to try and get around that by introducing fucking like tier levels. So, oh yeah, Kakashi's got 300 speed at master level, which means he went up to 1,000 in 7 other fucking tier levels. So he's actually got 8,000 or something like that.
I had a spreadsheet and I actually ran the numbers on people like Ruby. I went frame by frame. That's how autistic I went with this, to calculate her speed and what that should be in fucking numbers specifically for the story.
Unfortunately
Personally-
for you, she doesn't actually speed up. She just reduces her own mass.
yeah,
Shut up.
yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't you know by just reducing your mass and going the same speed, you go faster?
This is not meant.
Especially if you-
Wait, no, hold on. You mean the same thrust?
No. Same
Yes.
speed.
No.
Yeah. Don't you
Yeah.
know by you go faster if you keep the same speed but then lower your mass?
Yeah, the
I'm
faster
going
you
to-
go.
I'm
Also,
pipe bombs to your house. One will have a lower mass, one will have a higher mass. You can tell me which one explodes faster.
Well, don't you know
the one-
1,000
one
pounds
of the
of
lower-
steel is lighter than 1,000 pounds of feathers?
Oh.
And don't you know, Sign, that the lower mass means that she can still be kicked at full force by a professional assassin kid and not get hurt really all that bad?
Yeah, because her lower
No.
mass made her take less
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
Right off.
Don't you know that Ruby can also molecularly disassemble people and then reassemble them on a molecular level perfectly?
No,
Wait, is that what it? Wait. Is that what a Silver Eyes does, or is he just
No,
putting
that's her.
FHA into-
No,
That's what the
that
racists do.
that's her semblance, and she is. I'm straight shit, not lying. They had Penny sit down and explain to Ruby the science behind her semblance at one point to explain why she would be able to carry 8 people with her and teleport them all to a further location because she was able to, with her semblance, break everyone down on a molecular level, turn them into rose petals and a giant storm, and then move forward with the same amount of mass as if she did it alone, and then reassemble everyone on a molecular level.
Are
That's
you
what
telling me? Are you
ridiculous
telling? No,
shit
no.
did it.
Are you telling me that because MHA got so popular, Ruby just plagiarized Overhaul?
Yes.
Even more ridiculous than if you had said, it's magic, I ain't gotta explain shit.
I mean, literally just have yeah, that's literally that's the scene, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
fucking
dude.
stupid. It is really fucking stupid. Personally, I thought it was really cool that Ruby could do a team attack with Weiss, and by, turning into rose petals while holding hands with Weiss, they turn into red and white rose petals.
Very romantic, yes.
Yes, the shippers will love it. The shippers will love it.
So you
The
blah blah
popular
blah
will
shippers. I don't give a
for.
shit about that. I care more about the narrative behind it. I think that's very cool narrative wise, because if the semblance is the expression of the soul and you're capable of turning Weiss into part of your semblance temporarily, that's like an extreme expression of like trust and belief, and like that, basically that treating Weiss as just another part of her, like that's very narratively great.
You literally accepted her into your soul.
Right? And even if it's not romantic, that's a great sign of progress, comparing it to episode 1 where they're screaming at each other.
Oh, yeah.
But again, Rooster Teeth does this shit and then absolutely fucks up narrative-wise. Like, they are literally handing themselves perfect narrative beats on a silver platter, and then they shit on the platter.
Well,
Okay,
it's
I have one response to that video. What?
Yeah, you saw the video. Yeah. And this is the exact shit we were talking about, where they try to explain stuff. And it's just like, why? Why are you explaining these things? Ruby turning into rose petals and then going fast, and she's like able to soar around. Whatever. Yeah, sure, fine. Would it have been really cool and funny if there was like some sort of episode where she gets hit by like a heavy wind blast semblance or some shit and turns into a bunch of really tiny rubies? Yes.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Also cute.
Exactly.
Ruby Chibi is just Ruby fucking up with her semblance on everyone in existence.
I mean, if you really wanted to play up that shit, when they went to the Never Ever After Tale thing, whatever the fuck, the season 10 or whatever it was,
yeah,
it would have been funny if they ended up in Ruby Chibi one episode.
Yes.
But yeah, like you get a whole fucking sack full of rubies. Really small, like, like maybe 3-inch high rubies. And then she has the whole episode is you have to find all the rubies. The team has to find all the rubies and then convince them to use their semblance again to reform into the giant ruby.
Because they're so tiny, they can only focus on one thing at a time, and they're hyper ADD because it's Ruby, and all they want is milk and cookies.
Yeah, milk, cookies, pet zwei, annoy gang, play video games. Yeah, guns, bullet. One of them tries to figure out a way to turn a tube in the smith shop into a cannon to fire herself out of because she thinks it would be cool. And like
so typical Ruby things.
like you could do straight shit like Pikmin shit with that, you know?
Sneaky. One becomes a marine biologist.
One becomes a marine biologist, yeah, because she loves dolphins.
A little too much, perhaps.
Well, by the way, bunnies don't exist. Rabbits don't exist in Ruby. Yeah, that's
What?
another. Yeah. That's another thing that
Then
came
how do
out
they
of.
know that?
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
then how do
that's
they
yeah.
know that velvet's
Yeah.
a rabbit fauna?
Because
What?
you know, yeah.
Did they go extinct? And they're a legend?
No. From the same Ruby VTuber session that we got the marine biologist Ruby from. We also got rabbits don't exist.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
then then what the fuck is Velvet then?
She's a question mark faunus. Don't know what the fuck she is.
Doesn't matter what
Animal.
she is, she can still mine dust.
But after being fire packing this shit, I'm taking these fish.
The fish are free. You can just go to the pond and take them.
The government can't stop me.
I have 35 fish at home.
Yeah, how it reduces mass.
But yeah, it's just, like, this is just fucking pain. The more well-read among you might recognize that I'm borrowing all of John's family from the games we play. Ironic.
Oh wait, so you ripped off both you and Ryugi.
Of course.
Yes.
This will also probably include semblances, since the Arc Kid Battle Royale was my favorite part of the games we play, and I like to do homages like that. So I am going to blatantly rip off someone's entire family, and I'm going to call it a homage.
Wait, did the games we play have a battle royale between the siblings?
I'm sure it did at one point. I was too busy not reading it because of John's multi-paragraph descriptions of every punch he threw.
I did a battle royale between the siblings, but I hadn't actually read all of Ryuji's shit. I just read the first few chapters.
Honestly, you didn't need to read more.
Like, I think I stopped about the time he and Adam started getting into some kind of bromance.
Yeah. For the record, while I suppose this is supposed to be an SI with the knowledge of Ruby and the Gamer, I specifically exclude knowledge of the aforementioned fix, so John doesn't feel tempted to develop along the same lines. Okay, but if this is a self-insert and you're the author, then you are either A, explicitly not developing John along those same lines intentionally because you don't want to be called a copycat, or B, you're still going to develop the character along those same lines because you are subconsciously wanting to do that, but you're going to have to come up with excuses for it in the narrative as to why John's doing it, instead of being able to use the excuse that he read those two stories before being isekai'd.
Not every author can separate me as the SI from me as the author and realize that these are two different people. He's one of those that can't.
Oh, I'm aware. You know, I've picked up on that a little bit, especially the part where he said he's carrying the torch for Monty with his story.
Yeah. My Tism demands debunking it.
It's been debunked.
That's Gry about Ruby's semblance.
But I mean, literally though, like the Ruby semblance being this arbitrary mess of just whatever the fuck. Not explaining it works so much better. Personally as well, because of semblances, and this brought my mind to it. I like the idea of a time stop semblance that isn't actually time stop. It's your perception and reaction and reflexes are all just hyper accelerated for a specific period of time. so it feels like to you it's time stopped. Because I think a semblance that it can literally stop time is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Because
like, how would you even like? You'd stop time for 1 millisecond and die because of how much effort it would take. Because you're affecting the entire fucking world.
yeah,
universe.
well, universe, yeah, effectively, yeah. It's like
Unless it's like Rolos from Code Geass, where it creates a field of stop time, but it also stops your heart, which kills you.
No. Rolo didn't stop time. Rolo froze people.
Yeah.
Objects still moved.
Yeah.
People stopped being able to think. They stopped being able to move. Their hearts stopped. All that good shit, and then it started up again.
I liked the Dragon Shout actually in Skyrim, where it stops time.
Yes.
Is another great example of this, because the reality of Skyrim is very malleable, and the Dragon Shout of slow time is quite literally you telling reality to go slower.
Yeah.
I like
Stop! I want to get off.
I like the one from Madoka Magica where Homura does it. It's basically, how does she do it? Oh well, because QB said so. Fuck you. That's why.
But I really hate gamer stories that try and apply the gamer to literally everything.
Yes, please don't.
Where it's like everyone's actually part of the video game, unless that's the point of your gamer story, where your character is literally somehow in a literal video game, and so therefore everyone's stats.
God, please no! That just reminds me of Isekai Fuda. Everything had a gamer system.
Yeah.
Isekai what?
Isekai Fuda. We're moving on. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I'm the one who had to listen to the Night Owl.
Had to, he says. We completely said it was optional, and he did it anyway.
You said I'd become French if I didn't.
I mean, hey, you could have accepted your Frenchness.
Hell no.
But I really hate it when stories waste time trying to turn everything into a game. If you want to do IDs, I'm on the fence about instant dungeons. I feel like it's too easy to abuse instant dungeons to break the narrative of the story.
Oh, absolutely. But then again, that was the point.
Yeah, but the gamer manga is a little bit different from a book. And I personally feel like the gamer manga and the gamer light novel are both dog shit stories.
He was not.
You shut your mouth.
He was not. Sign was writing or had something on, or his internet was getting fixed or something.
Yeah, so I think Sign's internet was getting fixed that day.
That was probably during that 2 weeks when my internet was getting fixed. Yes.
Yeah. It was during then.
But yeah, point being is that I don't like it when the author's like, okay, so new characters here, and they have 55 strength, and their health is... If you want to quantify their health, I'm on the fence about it, but honestly, I don't really like number systems.
The thing is, the only thing I feel like HP works for, a health system, is it would actually work well in a Fate fic where there's an actual skill called Battle Continuation, where if you lose your head, you can still keep fighting for a few seconds. Like, there's something to the world where if you've lost most of your body, you can still keep fighting, but you're dying, which means the HP could just keep constantly ticking down till you hit 0, and then you're dead. That's just Battle Continuation in universe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could.
That's the only time I can see where that would work.
Yeah, you could project that. Don't get me wrong. I am not entirely against the idea of the gamer body, and you take a claw swipe across your face. It's not a decapitation hit, so instead you just take a lot of fucking damage and your health goes down, but you're still more or less fine. I'm not. Yeah, no blood or anything. I mean, blood is optional. But I'm not entirely
like-
against that. You know,
Something I am against.
if you want to
though, is-
say that the reason why your body takes HP damage instead of you bleeding everywhere is because your body's been like turned into literal fucking mana in the shape of you or some sort of shit, hey, I'm there for that. Like, don't get me wrong. If that's how you want to roll your story that way. But trying to quantify everyone else, because it's like, okay, so a person walks up to me and they're really tough, you know, they're really strong and they're really fast, but I shoot them in the heart. But
Yeah,
the
they
gun
die.
I shoot them in the heart with only does 92 damage normally, but they have 3,000 HP. Is that
Yeah,
an
and-
instant kill, or does it only do 184 damage to them?
I don't know. Are you playing Fear and Hunger?
Well, you'll see what I just wrote there. That's how I go about it.
Lately, my game-like numbers systems have been HP is total body integrity measured as a percentage. Shooting in the head still kills them. Yeah, and I actually read a story recently. I think one of you were the ones that posted it, maybe? Someone posted it somewhere. It might have been Cyan, actually. The story with the vampire girl?
That was me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it was on the SDM that this was posted. Basically, the premise is a new VR MMO is released. The selling point of this VR MMO is because everyone has full control of their character model in this MMO. It's all about PvP, and if you stab someone through the heart or cut off their head, they die. It doesn't matter how much health they have.
That's Som?
That's interesting.
Nice. I haven't heard of this one.
Was that Som who posted that? Was it a Space Battles? thing?
No, it wasn't. No, it was a manga. It's called like
Oh.
Destiny Unchained Online or something.
I feel like that'd be a faceless thing then.
It was either Faceless or Shadow. It's one of the purple names, and those two are the only ones that
Yeah.
really post that shit. And I kind of like that idea because it still kept the HP bar. Because, I took a claw swipe and I lost 90 HP of my total 700 HP. But if they take a claw swipe and that happens to be across their neck, and the claw is large enough to, meet the circumference of their neck, and it's a decapitation blow, then they die.
Yeah.
I think that's a decent balance of the two systems.
I'm gonna be honest. If there was a game like that, I would just fucking class into Rogue and just make my
that's
entire build
actually
about
what the main character does. They say, "Fuck this
Oh.
shit! I'm going to hyper specialize into agility and critical hit strikes and
one
Crit
shot
build.
everything."
and one shot stuff." Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's cool.
Wait, is this just the opposite of Bofuri then? The one where the chick just ups her
Yes.
defense, but instead it's just I'm gonna up my agility and one shot everything. So that the fucking
Sort of, except it has this really weird element that's like not even a spoiler because it's basically instantly explained to you in chapter 1. The main character gets into this cradle, which
Late.
will feed him nutrients and whatnot, and and specifically is mentioned by the father to the son. The father specifically says it's much like cellular regeneration and stem cells and shit. That happens when you're in the womb and stuff, right? And so you won't need to ever leave the cradle while you're playing it because it's going to feed you everything and regenerate your body and etc.
Wow.
And he just so happens to unlock a special rare race due to his DNA being scanned by the cradle. And this just so happens to be a vampire species. And it just so happens that the cradle is now
makes his dick
regenerating his
enormous.
body to match his character.
Not really physically ill. Yeah.
Oh, Z.
But
Oh, wow, okay.
just so happens isn't really that just so happens because he is the son of the creator of the game. So it's like, hey, fuck everyone who isn't me or my son. Like that's
Well,
kind of something I expect from a person.
Yes, but he does admittedly include rare races for a shit ton of other people that are just
Yes.
absolutely random.
But the rarest one is literally you just said DNA based, which would only be the creator's
Which would only be
father
the
and
cradle,
son.
yeah.
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 Son, I made you a vampire.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, as far
Wait,
as a
Dad, please, I can't log out. You haven't welcomed me into the house, please.
fuck you, eat shit. Yeah, no, like I said,
Looked at
the
son.
story was
I
funny
know,
enough.
son.
Yeah, the story was funny enough. Oh, hey, look at that, son. You just happened to be a girl. Fuck off, Dad. I know you did this. Oh, what do you mean?
What do you mean, son? Dad, stop unzipping your pants.
What?
No, that wasn't part of it, but the rest of it was.
Yeah.
Oh, manga.
I honestly.
Wait, really?
Wrong side.
That
yeah.
was
Wrong side.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, no, legitimately straight up. He goes, Dad, what the fuck? I'm a girl now. What the shit? Why did you do this to me? Oh, ha ha ha! How about that? Isn't that weird? Yeah, change me back now, Dad. Oh, well, good luck, son. Dad, what the fuck? I can't log out either. Oh, you don't need to log out. Bye.
really.
Yeah.
That could be kind of funny.
Nepotism sounds like you just have a skill issue.
So effectively, the plot that gets revealed in like the next 3 chapters is that actually this guy MC was actually a girl the whole time, but he regressed his vampire DNA out of sheer trauma because he bit his human older sister when he was younger and unable to control his bloodlust.
What?
What?
Right, so because he's a half-breed, his dad's a human and his mom's a vampire. They had a kid, which was his older sister, which ended up being human, and they had another kid who ended up being a vampire. And they were both girls. And when the vampire girl was younger, she just suddenly developed the urge to suck blood and ended up biting her older sister, which gave her childhood trauma because her sister started dying in front of her because she sucked a lot of blood out of her. And so apparently this was enough to activate the vampire shape-changing powers, which turned them into a male human. Because they were trying to suppress themselves so much, they also literally vomited at eating meat and smelling blood and stuff. And the whole point of this VR game was for the father to help the son get over their trauma and turn them back into the vampire daughter.
That's stupid. I'm.
Oh,
He was waiting. He was
fair
waiting for that. He was waiting for that. I gave it to him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree. I'm done. Good night, gamers.
Is that really his exit? That's his exit sound.
I know.
He has been spending this entire time setting that up, hasn't he?
I shot him.
Okay, you shot him. Okay, I was gonna say, if Nose spent this entire time saying nothing because he was trying to figure out how to set up a gunshot sound going off when he left.
Nah, you can't. It's only entry, not exit.
That's lame.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Sign says stats equal a measure of power density towards a certain development, such as strength or agility. I mean, yeah, that's more of the Game of Monsters style, and it's definitely the style I lean more towards when it comes to stats, and it's the style that I leaned towards when we were thinking of our own original story that was going to have gamer stats in it. And where someone having 29 strength was going to be, significant because, you start with 1. But what 29 strength really meant was just a numeral representation of the fact that they're fucking jacked.
Exactly. It's just, this is a measure of what it is in the real world, as if you could, okay, so you can lift 100 pounds. All right, well, there's your measure right there.
Yeah. And again, our original idea was going to be leaning heavily on the fact that everyone's stats were going to be pretty low overall, and that we aren't going to be, pulling a Korea and going into the quadruple digit range, like someone entering 100 stats in any stat in our story wouldn't happen.
Like Hanji, Han, or Solo leveling.
Yeah, sort of, more or less, I guess. It's like more along the lines of like, so the idea in the original story would be that it's a VR MMO full dive sort of thing, and it's called like New World. Before New World came out, we had this idea, so that was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it was that you literally start from ground zero. You have no fucking clothes, you have no tools, there's no NPCs, you're just in a location and you have to gather sticks and stones, and you get the gathering or scavenging skill. And then from there, once you get to a certain level of mastery on it, which is going to be less defined by like, levels and more defined by like a percentage bar, going from novice to adept to journeyman to master to expert, whatever, you can then branch off from there. And the idea behind the story would be that the main character actually spends the time to master every skill, because every skill he masters gives him +1 points to a certain stat that it's related to. Like lumberjack would give like +1 strength, or mining would give +1 strength, free running would give +1 agility, etc.
Swimming +1 endurance.
But the thing is, it would be that people would
I'm
typically.
Night, guys.
It's like 9 in the morning for you.
3:46 a.m. Yeah. Have a good one.
But the idea behind it is that generally people are sort of lazy, and you would have a couple people out there that would definitely try and master every single skill, but more people would just go for progression rather than 100%ing.
Yeah, except for the autists.
Right. But so the main character goes for the 100%ing because of, stuff happens and they decide, fuck it, we ball. But generally, once you've reached a certain level of mastery in a skill, you unlock the branches from that. So, scavenging turns into, the foraging branch, which is the food branch. It turns into the, crafting branch, which starts the, inorganic branch of material crafting.
The farming branch for building up your
foraging, once you get to a certain level, turns into farming, and then farming turns into agriculture, and then agriculture turns into industrial agriculture or whatever, And so
if there was magic, I have a feeling that would
no magic. We're going to keep this strictly unmagical.
Sort of online bullshit.
Well, no, because there wouldn't be any special moves. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that honestly, I could actually see a VR MMO being created out of this sort of premise, just from the sheer amount of time people would have to dump into it, and that is kind of the trend that a lot of MMOs are heading towards, is sheer amount of time dumping into it. Where like basically the idea behind attacks would be that someone could come up with an attack style, and then once they reach a certain level of mastery in, say, swords, they could pick longsword. When they reach a certain level of mastery in longsword, they can actually make a style now, and they can save moves. And then once they make a style, they can actually teach that style to new people.
And unlock the teaching skill, which...
Well, no, not unlock the teaching skill. The teaching would just require you to have a certain level of mastery in a skill. And again, the idea behind this would be that a lot of new players would get taught farming, would get taught mining, would get taught, general guard abilities.
Get them high up enough so that you can teach them, pass on to the newbies.
No, because teaching someone lets you bypass all of the prerequisite skills. That's the idea. And so you would have, over time, you'd have your core old guard who are like super fucking strong, but a majority of the newer players would be like effectively levymen who were taught archery and farming and mining, and so they didn't get all of the prerequisite skills. They can still go back and get them, but why would you try and level up scavenging and foraging if you already have farming and crafting and woodworking?
Yeah.
For the bonuses, obviously.
For the bonuses for the autistic 100%ers, but again, you gotta
Or the
keep in
people that-
mind, a large majority
Yeah.
of people, as we've seen, kind of just log in, do their dailies, hang out with their friends, and then maybe they answer the banner call from their guild to go do a guild war,
Yeah.
and then they log out, and that's it. And then you have the no-lifers and the autists who are like, no, I got 100% everything. So, I mean, it was fairly realistic, as we felt we could get away with for a narrative. We were kind of happy with it, but...
Was
Yep.
this going to be a story? Or
Yeah, it was going to be a story.
Um,
Our goal was to write it as a, Beware of Chicken style story, where we post each chapter, and then once we get enough steam behind it and enough interest gathered behind it, we would publish a full book.
Yeah.
But, gentlemen, it's 9:50. It's time to go.
All right.
We
Fair
read
enough.
one whole story, and the one whole story we read, we barely read because we were too busy shitting on it for copying someone else's story.
And then we went off tangent, just like all.
I mean, honestly, actually, 90% of our tangents today were completely relevant to the styles of
Yeah,
writing and how
actually,
to
yeah.
actually do English in the narrative and all that fun stuff, and
Yeah, true.
linguistic drifts
It's only in like the very last 20 minutes did we actually go off tangent.
sort of.
And the
Yeah.
shitting on was entirely deserved.
Yeah, it was entirely deserved. But yeah. So we'll release you all into the ether, and but come back Tuesday because of course there is always more, and it always gets worse.